Fact 1. The Oracle of Delphi. The Oracle of Delphi was one of the most influential and revered institutions in ancient Greece. Located on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, overlooking the Corinthian Gulf, the sanctuary of Delphi was dedicated to Apollo, the god of light, music, healing, and prophecy. The oracle, known as the Pythia, served as a conduit between the divine and the mortal realm, offering guidance and predictions to individuals, city-states, and even rulers from across the Greek world and beyond. The site's importance predates the Olympian gods. In ancient times, Delphi was believed to be the center of the world, marked by the omphalos, a sacred stone representing the Earth's navel. Legend has it that Zeus released two eagles from opposite ends of the world, and they met at Delphi, thus confirming its central location. Before Apollo, the site was associated with Gaia, the Earth goddess, and guarded by her serpent son, Python. Apollo is said to have slain Python, claiming the site for himself and establishing his oracle. The Pythia was typically a woman, chosen from among the local villagers. Selection criteria were somewhat vague, but generally, she was a woman of mature age and pure character, preferably with limited formal education to ensure her pronouncements were perceived as divinely inspired rather than the product of human intellect. The process of consulting the oracle was elaborate and ritualistic. Pilgrims would arrive at Delphi bearing gifts and offerings, hoping to gain insight into their futures, resolve disputes, or seek advice on matters of state. Before approaching the Pythia, they would undergo purification rituals, including bathing in the Castalian spring. The Pythia would enter the temple of Apollo and descend into the Ataton, the inner sanctum. The exact process by which she received her prophecies remains a subject of debate among historians and scholars. Ancient accounts suggest she sat on a tripod, inhaled vapors emanating from a chasm in the earth, and entered a trance-like state. While in this altered state of consciousness, she would utter cryptic pronouncements, often in verse, which were then interpreted by priests. The pronouncements of the Pythia were notoriously ambiguous and open to multiple interpretations. This ambiguity allowed the oracle to maintain her reputation for infallibility, regardless of the outcome. Whether the advice proved beneficial or disastrous, the oracle could always claim her words had been misinterpreted. The ambiguity also served a political purpose, allowing the oracle to influence events without directly taking sides. Rulers often sought the oracle's endorsement for their actions, using her pronouncements to legitimize their power or justify their policies. The influence of the Oracle of Delphi extended far beyond the realm of politics. The oracle played a significant role in shaping Greek culture and morality. Her pronouncements were often invoked to justify social norms, reinforce religious beliefs, and promote ethical behavior. The oracle also served as a repository of knowledge, preserving and transmitting ancient wisdom and traditions. The decline of the Oracle of Delphi began in the late Roman period as Christianity rose in prominence. As the Roman Empire embraced Christianity, pagan religions, including the worship of Apollo, were suppressed. The last recorded oracle was given in the late 4th century AD. The legacy of the Oracle of Delphi endures as a testament to the power of belief, the enduring human quest for knowledge and guidance, and the complex interplay between religion, politics, and culture in the ancient world. The ruins of Delphi, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, continue to attract visitors from around the globe, drawn by the mystique of the oracle and the echoes of ancient voices. Fact 2. The Athenian democracy. The Athenian democracy, which flourished in the 5th and 4th centuries BC, stands as a landmark achievement in the history of political thought and governance. While not a democracy in the modern sense, it represented a radical departure from the monarchies and oligarchies that dominated the ancient world, laying the groundwork for future democratic experiments. Athenian democracy was a direct democracy, meaning that citizens participated directly in the decision-making process rather than electing representatives to act on their behalf. The roots of Athenian democracy can be traced back to the reforms of Solon in the early 6th century BC. Solon, an Athenian statesman and poet, was appointed archon, chief magistrate, and given extraordinary powers to address the social and economic crisis plaguing Athens. He abolished debt bondage, freed those who had been enslaved for debt, and established a more equitable system of social classes based on wealth rather than birth. Solon also created the Council of 400, a body composed of 100 members from each of the 4 Athenian tribes, which served as an advisory council to the existing aristocratic Areopagus. However, Solon's reforms were not enough to prevent further social unrest. In the mid-6th century BC, Pisistratus seized power as a tyrant. While Pisistratus ruled without constitutional authority, he was generally a popular ruler who promoted economic prosperity and cultural development. He beautified Athens, supported the arts, and implemented public works projects. After Pisistratus' death, his sons Hippias and Hipparchus succeeded him. Hipparchus was assassinated in 514 BC, and Hippias' rule became increasingly oppressive, leading to his overthrow in 510 BC with the help of the Spartan army. The true architect of Athenian democracy was Cleisthenes, who came to power in 508 BC. Cleisthenes implemented a series of radical reforms that fundamentally reshaped Athenian political institutions. He reorganized the Athenian population into 10 new tribes, based on geographical location rather than kinship. Each tribe was composed of demes, local communities, which served as the basic units of political participation. This reorganization weakened the power of the aristocratic families and promoted a greater sense of civic unity. Cleisthenes also established the Council of 500 Boule, composed of 50 members from each of the 10 tribes, chosen by lot. The council prepared the agenda for the assembly and oversaw the implementation of its decisions. The assembly, ecclesia, was the central organ of Athenian democracy. It was open to all adult male citizens and met regularly to debate and vote on laws, decrees, and policies. Decisions were made by simple majority vote. The Athenian democracy also developed a system of ostracism, which allowed citizens to banish a prominent individual from Athens for a period of 10 years. Ostracism was intended to prevent the emergence of tyranny and to safeguard the democratic system from potential threats. The Athenian democracy reached its zenith in the 5th century BC under the leadership of Pericles. Pericles introduced payment for jury service, making it possible for poorer citizens to participate in the judicial system. He also implemented a program of public works, providing employment for Athenian citizens and beautifying the city. Pericles' leadership was instrumental in transforming Athens into a cultural and intellectual center of the Greek world. However, Athenian democracy was not without its limitations. Women, slaves, and foreigners were excluded from citizenship and had no political rights. The system was also vulnerable to demagoguery, as skilled orators could sway the assembly with emotional appeals rather than rational arguments. The Peloponnesian War, which pitted Athens against Sparta, ultimately weakened the Athenian democracy and led to its decline. Despite its limitations, the Athenian democracy remains a remarkable achievement in the history of political thought. It demonstrated the possibility of popular sovereignty and citizen participation in government. The principles of Athenian democracy, such as freedom of speech, equality before the law, and the rule of the people, have had a profound influence on the development of democratic institutions around the world. The legacy of Athenian democracy continues to inspire and inform contemporary debates about democracy and governance. Fact 3. The Peloponnesian War. The Peloponnesian War, 431 to 404 BC, was a protracted and devastating conflict that engulfed the Greek world, pitting Athens and its empire against the Peloponnesian League, led by Sparta. This war fundamentally reshaped the political landscape of ancient Greece, marking the end of the golden age of Athens and ushering in a period of decline and instability. The roots of the Peloponnesian War lay in the growing rivalry between Athens and Sparta. Athens, with its powerful navy and control over a vast maritime empire, had become the dominant power in the Aegean Sea. Sparta, the leader of a coalition of land-based city-states in the Peloponnese, feared Athenian expansion and sought to maintain its own dominance. The underlying tensions were exacerbated by a series of specific events, including the conflict between Corinth, a Spartan ally, and Corcyra, an Athenian ally, and the Athenian sanctions imposed on Megara, another Spartan ally. In 431 BC, the Peloponnesian War officially began. The war can be divided into three main phases. The first phase, known as the Archidamian War, 431 to 421 BC, was characterized by a stalemate. Athens, under the leadership of Pericles, adopted a strategy of defensive warfare, relying on its navy to protect its sea lanes and avoid direct confrontation with the Spartan army. The Athenian population was concentrated within the city walls, while the Spartan army ravaged the surrounding countryside. In 430 BC, a devastating plague struck Athens, decimating the population and undermining morale. Pericles himself succumbed to the plague in 429 BC. His death marked a turning point in the war, as Athens lost its most capable leader. In 421 BC, Athens and Sparta signed the Peace of Nicias, bringing a temporary end to the Archidamian War. However, this peace was fragile and short-lived. The second phase of the Peloponnesian War, known as the Sicilian Expedition, 415 to 413 BC, was a disastrous undertaking for Athens. Encouraged by the charismatic but reckless Alcibiades, Athens launched a massive expedition to conquer Syracuse, the largest and wealthiest city in Sicily. The Athenian forces were ultimately defeated, suffering heavy losses in both men and ships. The Sicilian expedition proved to be a catastrophic blow to Athenian power. The final phase of the Peloponnesian War, known as the Decelean War, 413 to 404 BC, saw Sparta take the offensive. Sparta established a permanent military base at Decelia, near Athens, which allowed them to continuously harass the Athenian countryside and disrupt Athenian supply lines. Athens was increasingly isolated and weakened. Internal political divisions further undermined Athenian resolve. In 405 BC, the Spartan navy, under the command of Lysander, decisively defeated the Athenian fleet at the Battle of Ægospotami. This victory effectively cut off Athens' supply routes, leading to widespread famine and desperation within the city. In 404 BC, Athens was forced to surrender unconditionally to Sparta. The terms of the surrender were harsh. Athens was forced to dismantle its long walls, surrender its navy, and dissolve its empire. The Athenian democracy was replaced by an oligarchy, known as the 30 Tyrants, which was supported by Sparta. The Peloponnesian War had a profound impact on the Greek world. It led to the decline of Athens, the rise of Sparta, and a period of political instability and warfare. The war also had a significant impact on Greek culture and thought. The experience of the war led to a questioning of traditional values and beliefs, and a greater emphasis on realism and pragmatism. The Peloponnesian War is also significant because it was meticulously documented by the historian Thucydides. His history of the Peloponnesian War is considered a masterpiece of historical writing, providing a detailed and insightful account of the war and its causes. Thucydides' work remains a valuable source for understanding the complexities of ancient Greek politics and warfare. The war serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition, the corrosive effects of prolonged conflict, and the fragility of political alliances. Fact 4. Alexander the Great and the Hellenistic period. Alexander the Great, 356 to 323 BC, was one of the most brilliant military commanders in history. His conquests transformed the ancient world, ushering in the Hellenistic period, a time of cultural fusion and intellectual ferment that extended from the death of Alexander to the Roman conquest of Greece. Alexander was born in Pella, the capital of the Kingdom of Macedon. He was the son of King Philip II, who had transformed Macedon from a relatively backward kingdom into a major military power. Philip recognized Alexander's exceptional potential and provided him with the best possible education, including tutoring from the philosopher Aristotle. Alexander inherited his father's ambition and military genius. When Philip was assassinated in 336 BC, Alexander, at the age of 20, became king of Macedon. He quickly consolidated his power and set out to fulfill his father's dream of conquering the Persian Empire. In 334 BC, Alexander led his army across the Hellespont and into Asia Minor. He won a series of decisive victories against the Persian forces, including the Battle of Granicus River, 334 BC, the Battle of Issus, 333 BC, and the Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC. These victories shattered the Persian Empire and opened the way for Alexander to conquer its vast territories. Alexander marched eastward, conquering Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia, and parts of Central Asia. He founded numerous cities along the way, many of which were named Alexandria in his honor. These cities became centers of Greek culture and commerce, spreading Greek language, art, and philosophy throughout the region. Alexander's conquests were not just military victories. They also involved a deliberate policy of cultural integration. He encouraged his soldiers to marry local women, promoted the adoption of Greek customs and language, and sought to create a new, unified culture that blended Greek and Eastern traditions. This policy of cultural fusion, known as Hellenization, was a defining characteristic of the Hellenistic period. Alexander's ambition knew no bounds. He planned to conquer India, but his troops, exhausted after years of campaigning, refused to go any further. Alexander was forced to turn back. In 323 BC, Alexander died in Babylon at the age of 32. The cause of his death remains a mystery, but theories range from poisoning to malaria. His sudden death plunged his empire into chaos. His generals fought among themselves for control of his vast territories. Eventually, Alexander's empire was divided into several successor kingdoms, ruled by his former generals, known as the Diadochi. These kingdoms included the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in Asia, and the Antigonid Kingdom of Macedon. The Hellenistic period, which followed Alexander's death, was a time of significant cultural and intellectual achievement. The cities founded by Alexander became centers of learning and innovation. The Library of Alexandria in Egypt was one of the largest and most important libraries in the ancient world. Hellenistic scholars made significant advances in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. The Hellenistic period also saw the rise of new philosophical schools, such as Stoicism and Epicureanism, which offered alternative approaches to ethics and the meaning of life. Greek art and architecture flourished, blending Greek styles with Eastern influences. The Hellenistic period came to an end with the rise of Rome. The Roman Republic gradually conquered the Hellenistic kingdoms, incorporating them into its expanding empire. In 146 BC, Rome conquered Greece, bringing an end to Greek independence. However, the legacy of Alexander the Great and the Hellenistic period lived on. Greek culture and language continued to exert a profound influence on the Roman world, shaping its art, literature, and philosophy. The Hellenistic period played a crucial role in transmitting Greek knowledge and traditions to the West, laying the foundation for the development of Western civilization. Alexander's vision of a unified world, based on cultural exchange and understanding, continues to resonate today. Fact 5. Ancient Greek religion and mythology. Ancient Greek religion was a polytheistic system, meaning that the Greeks worshipped many gods and goddesses. These deities were believed to inhabit Mount Olympus, a mythical mountain peak in northern Greece. While immortal and possessing supernatural powers, the gods were also anthropomorphic, meaning they resembled humans in their appearance and behavior. They were prone to human emotions such as love, jealousy, anger, and spite, and they often intervened in human affairs. The most important gods and goddesses were known as the Olympians. These included Zeus, the king of the gods and the ruler of the sky; Hera, the queen of the gods and the goddess of marriage; Poseidon, the god of the sea; Hades, the god of the underworld; Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare; Apollo, the god of music, poetry, light, and healing; Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and wilderness; Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty; Ares, the god of war; Hermes, the messenger of the gods and the god of commerce; Hephaestus, the god of fire and metalworking; and Demeter, the goddess of agriculture and fertility. Each city-state had its own patron deity, who was believed to protect the city and its inhabitants. For example, Athena was the patron goddess of Athens, while Apollo was the patron god of Delphi. The Greeks worshipped their gods through a variety of rituals and practices, including sacrifices, prayers, festivals, and games. Sacrifices typically involved the offering of animals or other valuable goods to the gods. Prayers were used to communicate with the gods and to ask for their help or favor. Festivals were held in honor of the gods, often featuring athletic competitions, musical performances, and theatrical productions. The Olympic Games, which were held every 4 years in honor of Zeus, were the most famous of these festivals. Ancient Greek mythology consisted of a vast collection of stories and legends about the gods, heroes, and other mythical figures. These myths served a variety of purposes. They explained the origins of the world and humanity, provided moral lessons, and entertained audiences. Myths were transmitted orally for centuries before being written down, and they were constantly evolving and being reinterpreted. Greek mythology has had a profound influence on Western culture. Many of the characters and stories from Greek mythology have become iconic figures in art, literature, and popular culture. The themes and motifs found in Greek mythology continue to resonate with audiences today. Some of the most famous Greek myths include the stories of the creation of the world, the Titanomachy, the war between the gods and the Titans, the labors of Heracles, the Trojan War, the Odyssey, and the story of Oedipus. The Greeks believed in an afterlife, but their views on the afterlife were somewhat vague and inconsistent. In general, they believed that the souls of the dead went to the underworld, a dark and shadowy realm ruled by Hades. The underworld was divided into different sections, including Elysium, a paradise for heroes, and Tartarus, a place of punishment for the wicked. The Greeks also believed in fate, the idea that human lives were predetermined by the gods. However, they also believed that humans had free will and could make their own choices. The tension between fate and free will is a recurring theme in Greek literature and philosophy. Ancient Greek religion began to decline in the late Roman period, as Christianity rose in prominence. However, the legacy of Greek religion and mythology continues to be felt today in art, literature, philosophy, and popular culture. The stories of the gods and heroes of ancient Greece continue to inspire and fascinate audiences around the world. The enduring appeal of Greek mythology lies in its ability to explore universal themes of love, loss, courage, and the human condition. Fact 6. Ancient Greek philosophy. Ancient Greek philosophy is the cornerstone of Western philosophical thought. It emerged in the 6th century BC and flourished for centuries, profoundly influencing the development of ethics, politics, metaphysics, epistemology, and logic. Greek philosophers sought to understand the fundamental nature of reality, the meaning of human existence, and the principles of morality and justice. Their ideas have shaped the course of Western civilization and continue to be debated and reinterpreted today. The pre-Socratic philosophers, who lived before Socrates, were primarily concerned with cosmology and natural philosophy. They sought to explain the origins of the universe and the underlying principles of nature. Thales of Miletus, considered the first philosopher, believed that water was the fundamental substance of all things. Anaximander, Thales' student, proposed that the universe originated from an apeiron, an undefined and boundless substance. Anaximenes believed that air was the fundamental element. Heraclitus emphasized the concept of constant change, famously stating that you cannot step twice into the same river. Parmenides argued for the unchanging nature of reality, claiming that change is an illusion. Empedocles proposed that the universe was composed of 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Democritus and Leucippus developed the atomic theory, suggesting that all matter is composed of indivisible particles called atoms. Socrates, 470 to 399 BC, marks a turning point in the history of Greek philosophy. He shifted the focus from natural philosophy to ethics and epistemology. Socrates did not write down his ideas. His philosophy is known primarily through the writings of his student, Plato. Socrates believed that the unexamined life is not worth living. He developed a method of inquiry, known as the Socratic method, which involved asking questions to challenge assumptions and stimulate critical thinking. He was famously put on trial and executed for corrupting the youth of Athens and impiety, but his philosophical legacy endured. Plato, 428 to 348 BC, was one of the most influential philosophers in history. He founded the Academy in Athens, which became a center of philosophical learning. Plato's philosophy is characterized by his theory of forms, which posits that the physical world is merely a shadow of a higher realm of perfect and eternal forms. He believed that true knowledge could only be attained through reason and contemplation of the forms. Plato's dialogues explore a wide range of philosophical topics, including justice, beauty, love, and the nature of the soul. His most famous work is The Republic, which outlines his vision of an ideal society ruled by philosopher kings. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC, was Plato's student and one of the most prolific and influential philosophers of all time. He founded the Lyceum in Athens, a rival school to Plato's Academy. Aristotle's philosophy is characterized by its emphasis on empirical observation and logical reasoning. He made significant contributions to a wide range of subjects, including logic, physics, metaphysics, ethics, politics, and rhetoric. Aristotle developed a system of logic based on syllogisms. He believed that knowledge is acquired through experience and observation. In ethics, he advocated for the pursuit of virtue as the key to happiness. In politics, he argued for a mixed constitution that combines elements of democracy, aristocracy, and monarchy. His Nicomachean Ethics and Politics are among the most important works in Western philosophy. After Aristotle, Greek philosophy continued to develop in various directions. The Hellenistic period saw the rise of new philosophical schools, such as Stoicism, Epicureanism, and Skepticism. Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium, emphasized virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature. Stoics believed that happiness could be achieved by controlling one's emotions and accepting what is beyond one's control. Epicureanism, founded by Epicurus, emphasized pleasure as the greatest good, but not in a hedonistic sense. Epicureans believed that pleasure could be achieved through moderation, tranquility, and the absence of pain. Skepticism questioned the possibility of certain knowledge and advocated for suspending judgment. Greek philosophy had a profound influence on Roman philosophy, medieval philosophy, and modern philosophy. Its emphasis on reason, logic, and critical thinking has shaped the intellectual landscape of the West. The questions and problems raised by Greek philosophers continue to be debated and reinterpreted today, demonstrating the enduring relevance of their thought. Fact 7. Ancient Greek theater. Ancient Greek theater was a vibrant and integral part of Greek culture, evolving from religious rituals honoring Dionysus, the god of wine and fertility, into a sophisticated art form that explored profound themes of human existence, morality, and politics. The theater was not merely entertainment. It was a civic and religious event, attended by large audiences and supported by the state. The origins of Greek theater can be traced back to the dithyramb, a choral hymn sung and danced in honor of Dionysus. Over time, the dithyramb evolved into a more structured form, with the addition of a single actor who engaged in dialogue with the chorus. This actor, known as the protagonist, was the first step towards the development of dramatic performance. The first true playwrights emerged in the 6th century BC. Thespis is traditionally credited with being the first actor to step out of the chorus and speak lines independently, giving rise to the term thespian for actor. Phrynichus and Coerilus were other early playwrights who experimented with dramatic form and subject matter. Greek theater reached its peak in the 5th century BC with the emergence of the three great tragedians, Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. Aeschylus, 525 to 456 BC, is considered the father of Greek tragedy. He introduced the second actor, increasing the dramatic possibilities of the form. His plays, such as the Orestia trilogy, explore themes of justice, revenge, and the relationship between gods and humans. Sophocles, 496 to 406 BC, is known for his masterful character development and his exploration of moral dilemmas. He introduced the third actor, further increasing the complexity of dramatic interaction. His most famous plays include Oedipus Rex, Antigone, and Electra. Euripides, 480 to 406 BC, was the most experimental and controversial of the three tragedians. He often challenged traditional values and explored the psychological complexities of his characters. His plays, such as Medea, the Bacchae, and the Trojan Women, are known for their intense emotion and their questioning of established norms. In addition to tragedy, Greek theater also included comedy. Comedy developed later than tragedy, but it quickly became a popular form of entertainment. The most famous comic playwright was Aristophanes, 446 to 386 BC. Aristophanes' plays, such as Lysistrata, The Clouds, and The Birds, are known for their satirical wit, their political commentary, and their bawdy humor. Greek plays were typically performed in outdoor theaters, built into hillsides to provide natural acoustics and seating. The most famous Greek theater is the Theater of Dionysus in Athens, which could seat thousands of spectators. The theater consisted of several key elements: the orchestra, a circular space where the chorus performed; the skene, a building behind the orchestra that served as a backdrop and provided entrances and exits for the actors; and the theatron, the seating area for the audience. Actors in Greek theater wore masks, which served several purposes. The masks allowed actors to play multiple roles. They amplified their voices, and they helped to convey the emotions of the characters. The masks were often highly stylized and expressive, reflecting the conventions of Greek art. The chorus played a crucial role in Greek theater. The chorus commented on the action, provided background information, and expressed the emotions of the community. The chorus was typically composed of 12 to 15 members who sang and danced in unison. Greek theater had a profound influence on the development of Western drama. The conventions of Greek tragedy and comedy have been adopted and adapted by playwrights for centuries. The themes and ideas explored in Greek plays continue to resonate with audiences today. The legacy of Greek theater lives on in contemporary theater, film, and television. Fact 8. Daily life in ancient Greece. Daily life in ancient Greece varied considerably depending on social class, city-state, and period. However, we can paint a general picture of the experiences and routines of the average ancient Greek citizen. This overview will primarily focus on the classical period 5th and 4th centuries BC in Athens, as it is the most well-documented. Family and household. The family was the central unit of Greek society. The oikos, household, included the immediate family, slaves, and sometimes extended relatives. The father was the head of the household, responsible for its economic well-being and the education of his sons. Women's roles were primarily domestic, managing the household, raising children, and weaving cloth. Athenian women, particularly those of citizen families, had limited public life and were largely confined to the home. Spartan women, however, enjoyed more freedom and physical training. Education. Education was valued but not universally accessible. Wealthy families could afford to hire tutors or send their sons to private schools. Education typically included reading, writing, arithmetic, music, and physical training. In Athens, older boys might attend the gymnasium, a public institution for athletic and intellectual pursuits. Girls generally received little formal education, although some were taught to read and write by their mothers or female slaves. Food and drink. The Greek diet was relatively simple and based on locally available ingredients. Staples included bread, olives, olive oil, cheese, figs, and vegetables. Meat was less common, consumed primarily during festivals or by the wealthy. Fish was an important source of protein for those living near the coast. Wine was a popular beverage, usually diluted with water. Breakfast was often a simple affair, perhaps bread dipped in wine. Lunch might consist of olives, cheese, and bread. Dinner was the main meal of the day, eaten in the evening. Housing. Homes in ancient Greece were typically modest and simple. They were usually made of mud brick or stone with tile roofs. Houses typically had a courtyard, which provided light and ventilation. Furniture was sparse, consisting of beds, tables, and chairs. Wealthier families might have more elaborate homes with multiple rooms and decorated with mosaics or frescoes. Clothing. Clothing was simple and functional. The basic garment was the chiton, a rectangular piece of cloth draped and fastened at the shoulders. Men typically wore a shorter chiton, while women wore a longer version. Over the chiton, people might wear a himation, a larger cloak. Sandals were the most common footwear. Clothing was typically made of wool or linen and dyed in various colors. Work and economy. The ancient Greek economy was based primarily on agriculture, trade, and crafts. Most citizens were farmers, cultivating land to produce food for their families and the market. Trade was vital as Greece lacked many essential resources. Athenian merchants imported grain, timber, and metals from other regions. Skilled artisans produced pottery, textiles, metalwork, and other goods. Slavery was an integral part of the Greek economy, providing labor for agriculture, mining, and domestic service. Leisure and entertainment. Despite the demands of daily life, ancient Greeks enjoyed various forms of leisure and entertainment. Athletic competitions such as the Olympic Games were popular events. The theater was a central part of Greek culture, with performances of tragedies and comedies drawing large audiences. Symposia or drinking parties were common social gatherings where men would drink wine, discuss philosophy, and enjoy music and dance. Gambling, dice games, and board games were also popular pastimes. Religion and beliefs. Religion played an important role in daily life. Greeks believed in a pantheon of gods and goddesses who intervened in human affairs. They worshipped these deities through sacrifices, prayers, and festivals. Temples were built to honor the gods, and oracles were consulted for guidance. Superstition was common, and people believed in the power of omens and curses. Health and hygiene. Sanitation in ancient Greece was rudimentary. Waste disposal was often inadequate, leading to the spread of disease. Medical knowledge was limited, although doctors like Hippocrates made important contributions to the understanding of medicine. Bathing was common, but public baths were not always clean. Life expectancy was relatively low, with infant mortality rates being high. Social structure. Greek society was highly stratified, with citizens enjoying more rights and privileges than slaves or foreigners. Within the citizen class, there were distinctions based on wealth and social status. Politics was an important part of civic life, with citizens participating in the assembly and other political institutions, especially in democratic city-states like Athens. Fact 9. Ancient Greek warfare. Ancient Greek warfare was a defining aspect of their civilization, shaping their political landscape, social structures, and cultural values. From the Bronze Age conflicts described in Homer's epics to the clashes between city-states in the classical period and the conquests of Alexander the Great, warfare played a crucial role in the development and eventual decline of ancient Greece. Early warfare, Bronze Age to the Archaic period warfare in the Bronze Age, c. 3000 to 1200 BC, is largely known through the Homeric epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey. These poems depict a heroic age of individual warriors, chariot combat, and sieges. Archaeological evidence confirms the existence of fortified Mycenaean citadels and sophisticated weaponry, but the details of Bronze Age warfare remain debated. The transition to the Iron Age, c. 1200 to 800 BC, saw the development of new weapons and tactics. The Archaic period, c. 800 to 500 BC, witnessed the rise of the polis, city-state, and the development of hoplite warfare. Hoplite warfare. Hoplite warfare was the dominant form of combat in classical Greece, c. 500 to 323 BC. Hoplites were citizen soldiers, typically armed with a spear, dory, a short sword, xiphos, and a large round shield, hoplon. They wore bronze armor, including a helmet, breastplate, and greaves, shin guards. The hoplites fought in a tightly packed formation called the phalanx. The phalanx was a formidable force, relying on discipline, cohesion, and the weight of numbers. The success of the phalanx depended on the ability of the hoplites to maintain their formation and push forward against the enemy. Battles were typically short and decisive, with the winning side breaking the enemy's phalanx and forcing them to flee. The social and political implications of hoplite warfare were significant. As citizen soldiers, hoplites had a vested interest in the defense of their city-state. The hoplite class formed the backbone of the citizen body and played a key role in the development of democratic institutions. Naval warfare. Naval warfare was also important in ancient Greece, particularly for city-states with access to the sea. The dominant type of warship was the trireme, a sleek and fast vessel powered by 3 banks of oars. Triremes were equipped with a bronze ram at the bow, used to sink or disable enemy ships. Naval battles typically involved ramming and boarding actions. Athens, with its powerful navy, dominated the Aegean Sea during the classical period. The Battle of Salamis, for 80 BC, in which the Greek fleet defeated the Persian fleet, was a pivotal moment in Greek history. Siege warfare. Siege warfare was a common feature of ancient Greek warfare. City-states were often fortified with walls and towers, making them difficult to capture. Siege tactics included blockade, assault, and undermining the walls. Siege engines, such as catapults and battering rams, were used to breach fortifications. Mercenaries. While hoplites were primarily citizen soldiers, mercenaries were also employed, particularly by larger and wealthier city-states. Mercenaries were professional soldiers who fought for pay. They were often skilled and experienced warriors, but their loyalty could be questionable. The Peloponnesian War, 431 to 404 BC, between Athens and Sparta was a protracted and devastating conflict that demonstrated the complexities of Greek warfare. The war involved land battles, naval battles, sieges, and raids. The war also saw the use of new tactics, such as ambushes and naval blockades. Alexander the Great's military innovations. Alexander the Great revolutionized ancient Greek warfare through his innovative tactics and his effective use of combined arms. Alexander's army combined hoplites, cavalry, archers, and siege engineers. He used cavalry to exploit weaknesses in the enemy's line and to pursue fleeing enemies. He employed siege engines to capture fortified cities. Alexander's victories were due to his military genius, his ability to inspire his troops, and his effective use of logistics. Legacy. Ancient Greek warfare had a profound influence on the development of military strategy and tactics. The hoplite phalanx remained a dominant force in European warfare for centuries. Alexander the Great's military innovations were studied and emulated by later commanders. The principles of ancient Greek warfare continue to be relevant in modern military thought. Fact 10. Ancient Greek art and architecture. Ancient Greek art and architecture are renowned for their beauty, harmony, and balance. They reflect the Greek ideals of humanism, reason, and the pursuit of excellence. From the monumental temples to the exquisite sculptures and pottery, Greek art and architecture have had a profound and lasting influence on Western culture. Periods of Greek art. Greek art history is typically divided into several periods. Geometric period, c. 900 to 700 BC. This period is characterized by abstract geometric patterns and stylized representations of human figures and animals. Pottery was the dominant art form. Archaic period, c. 700 to 480 BC. This period saw the development of more realistic and naturalistic forms. Sculpture became increasingly important, with the creation of kouroi, male youths, and korai, female figures. Classical period, c. 480 to 323 BC. This period is considered the golden age of Greek art. Sculpture reached its peak with the creation of masterpieces such as the Dorophoros, Spear-Bearer, by Polykleitos, and the sculptures of the Parthenon. Hellenistic period, c. 323 to 31 BC. This period saw a greater emphasis on realism, emotion, and individualism. Sculpture became more dramatic and dynamic, with works such as the Laocoon group and the Winged Victory of Samothrace. Architecture. Ancient Greek architecture is best known for its temples, which were built to honor the gods and goddesses. Greek temples were typically rectangular in plan, with a colonnade surrounding a central cella, inner chamber. The three main architectural orders were Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, each characterized by distinct column styles and decorative elements. Doric order. The Doric order is the simplest and most austere of the three orders. Doric columns are plain and massive with no base. The capital is a simple, unadorned echinus, a rounded cushion. The Parthenon in Athens is a prime example of Doric architecture. Ionic order. The Ionic order is more elegant and ornate than the Doric order. Ionic columns are slender and have a base. The capital is decorated with volutes, scroll-like ornaments. The Temple of Athena Nike on the Acropolis in Athens is an example of Ionic architecture. Corinthian order. The Corinthian order is the most elaborate and decorative of the three orders. Corinthian columns are similar to Ionic columns but have a more ornate capital decorated with acanthus leaves. The Temple of Olympian Zeus in Athens is an example of Corinthian architecture. In addition to temples, the Greeks also built other types of structures, including theaters, stadiums, gymnasia, and stoas, covered walkways. Sculpture. Ancient Greek sculpture is renowned for its idealized representations of the human form. Greek sculptors sought to capture the beauty, grace, and perfection of the human body. They studied anatomy carefully and developed a canon of proportions that guided their work. Koroi and Korai. Koroi were statues of nude male youths, typically standing with 1 foot forward and their arms at their sides. Korai were statues of draped female figures. These statues were often used as votive offerings or grave markers. Classical sculpture. Classical sculpture reached its peak in the 5th century BC. Sculptors such as Phidias, Polykleitos, and Myron created masterpieces that embodied the Greek ideals of humanism and reason. The sculptures of the Parthenon, created under the direction of Phidias, are considered some of the finest examples of classical sculpture. Hellenistic sculpture. Hellenistic sculpture became more emotional and dramatic. Sculptors explored a wider range of subjects and styles, creating works that were both realistic and expressive. The Laocoon group, which depicts a Trojan priest and his sons being attacked by sea serpents, is a famous example of Hellenistic sculpture. Pottery. Ancient Greek pottery was not only functional but also highly decorative. Greek potters produced a wide variety of vessels, including amphorae, storage jars, craters, mixing bowls, and kylikes, drinking cups. Greek pottery was often decorated with scenes from mythology, history, and daily life. The two main styles of Greek pottery decoration were black figure and red figure. In black figure pottery, the figures were painted in black silhouette against a red background. In red figure pottery, the figures were left in red against a black background. Red figure pottery allowed for greater detail and naturalism. Legacy. Ancient Greek art and architecture have had a profound and lasting influence on Western culture. Greek architectural orders have been used in buildings around the world for centuries. Greek sculptures have inspired artists and sculptors from the Renaissance to the present day. The ideals of humanism, reason, and the pursuit of excellence that are reflected in Greek art and architecture continue to shape our understanding of beauty and value. Fact 11. Ancient Greek science and technology. Ancient Greek civilization made significant contributions to the development of science and technology, laying the foundation for many of the advancements that followed in later eras. While the Greeks did not always prioritize practical applications, their pursuit of knowledge, their emphasis on reason and observation, and their development of mathematical and theoretical frameworks led to important discoveries and innovations in various fields. Mathematics. Ancient Greek mathematicians made fundamental contributions to geometry, number theory, and algebra. Thales of Miletus is credited with introducing geometry to Greece from Egypt and with proving several basic geometric theorems. Pythagoras and his followers developed the Pythagorean theorem, which relates the sides of a right triangle. Euclid systematized Greek geometry in his Elements, a foundational work that remained the standard textbook for centuries. Archimedes made significant advances in geometry, calculus, and mechanics. He calculated an accurate approximation of pi, developed methods for finding the area and volume of various geometric shapes, and invented several mechanical devices. Astronomy. Ancient Greek astronomers made important observations and developed sophisticated models of the universe. Anaximander proposed that the Earth was a cylinder suspended in space. Aristarchus of Samos proposed a heliocentric model of the solar system, with the Sun at the center and the Earth revolving around it, although this idea was not widely accepted at the time. Eratosthenes calculated the circumference of the Earth with remarkable accuracy. Hipparchus created a star catalog and developed a system for classifying stars by brightness. Ptolemy developed the geocentric model of the universe, which placed the Earth at the center and had a lasting influence on astronomy for over 1,400 years. Medicine. Ancient Greek medicine made significant advances in diagnosis, treatment, and medical ethics. Hippocrates, considered the father of medicine, emphasized observation, diagnosis, and prognosis. The Hippocratic Corpus, a collection of medical texts attributed to Hippocrates and his followers, laid the foundation for medical ethics and the practice of rational medicine. Greek physicians made important discoveries about anatomy, physiology, and the causes of disease. They also developed a variety of surgical instruments and techniques. Engineering and technology. Ancient Greeks were skilled engineers and inventors. They developed various technologies for agriculture, construction, and warfare. They built aqueducts to supply cities with fresh water, irrigation systems to improve crop yields, and mills to grind grain. They developed cranes, pulleys, and levers to lift heavy objects. They invented the catapult, a powerful siege engine used to hurl projectiles. Archimedes is credited with inventing numerous mechanical devices, including the Archimedes screw, a device for raising water, and various war machines. Other sciences. The Greeks also made contributions to other scientific fields, such as biology, geography, and optics. Aristotle made extensive observations of animals and plants and developed a system for classifying living organisms. Eratosthenes created a map of the world and calculated the circumference of the Earth. Euclid made contributions to optics, studying the properties of light and vision. Limitations. While the Greeks made significant contributions to science and technology, their approach had certain limitations. They often relied on philosophical speculation rather than empirical experimentation. They did not always prioritize practical applications, focusing instead on theoretical understanding. They also lacked certain technologies and tools that would have facilitated scientific progress. Legacy. Despite these limitations, ancient Greek science and technology had a profound influence on the development of Western civilization. Their emphasis on reason, observation, and mathematical analysis laid the foundation for the scientific revolution of the 16th and 17th centuries. Their discoveries and innovations continue to be studied and appreciated today. The Greek legacy in science and technology is a testament to the power of human curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge. Fact 12. The role of slavery in ancient Greece. Slavery was an integral and pervasive feature of ancient Greek society, profoundly influencing its economy, social structure, and political life. While the specifics of slavery varied across different city-states and periods, it was a widespread institution with significant implications for both the enslaved and the free populations. Understanding the role of slavery is crucial to comprehending the complexities of ancient Greek civilization. Sources of slaves. Slaves in ancient Greece came from various sources. War captives were a primary source, particularly during periods of conflict. People captured in raids and piracy were also enslaved. Another source was the enslavement of individuals due to debt or inability to repay loans, although this practice was sometimes limited or prohibited by law in certain city-states. Abandoned or exposed children might also be raised as slaves. Finally, there was internal slave trade, with slaves being bought and sold in markets. The origins of slaves were diverse, with individuals coming from various regions around the Mediterranean and beyond, including Thrace, Asia Minor, and even parts of Greece itself. Types of slave labor. Slaves performed a wide variety of tasks in ancient Greece, encompassing nearly every aspect of economic and social life. They worked in agriculture, providing essential labor on farms and estates. They were employed in mines, often under harsh and dangerous conditions. They worked in workshops, producing goods such as pottery, textiles, and metalwork. Slaves also served as domestic servants in private households, performing tasks such as cooking, cleaning, and childcare. Some slaves were skilled artisans or craftsmen, while others were employed as tutors or secretaries. In some city-states, slaves were even used in public works projects or as rowers in the Navy. Legal status and treatment of slaves. The legal status of slaves in ancient Greece varied somewhat depending on the city-state and the period. In general, slaves were considered property with no legal rights of their own. They could be bought, sold, and inherited. Slave owners had the right to punish their slaves, although excessive cruelty was sometimes frowned upon. Slaves could not own property or marry without their owner's permission. However, there were also some protections for slaves in certain cases. Some laws prohibited the killing of slaves without justification, and slaves could sometimes seek refuge in temples or appeal to magistrates for protection from abusive owners. The treatment of slaves also varied widely. Some slave owners treated their slaves relatively well, providing them with decent food, clothing, and shelter. Other owners were cruel and abusive, subjecting their slaves to harsh punishments and inhumane conditions. The treatment of slaves often depended on their skills, their loyalty, and the character of their owner. Domestic slaves who lived in close proximity to their owners often enjoyed better treatment than those who worked in mines or agriculture. Impact on Greek society. Slavery had a profound impact on ancient Greek society. It provided a cheap and readily available source of labor, which allowed free citizens to engage in other pursuits, such as politics, philosophy, and the arts. Slavery also contributed to the economic prosperity of many Greek city-states, particularly those involved in trade and manufacturing. However, slavery also had negative consequences. It created a system of social inequality and exploitation, which led to resentment and resistance from the enslaved population. It may have also stifled technological innovation, as there was less incentive to develop labor-saving devices when slave labor was readily available. Slave revolts and resistance. While slaves generally lacked the power to openly challenge the institution of slavery, there were instances of slave revolts and resistance. The most famous example is the revolt of the Helots in Sparta, who were a class of enslaved people with a distinct social and political status. There were also occasional uprisings of slaves in other Greek city-states. In addition to outright revolt, slaves also resisted their bondage through more subtle means, such as sabotage, theft, and running away. Philosophical perspectives on slavery. Greek philosophers held diverse views on the morality and justification of slavery. Some philosophers, such as Aristotle, argued that slavery was natural and just, claiming that certain individuals were naturally suited to be slaves. Other philosophers, such as the Stoics, argued that slavery was contrary to nature and that all humans were equal. These debates reflected the complex and contested nature of slavery in ancient Greek society. Decline of slavery. Slavery gradually declined in ancient Greece in the Hellenistic and Roman periods, although it never completely disappeared. The rise of new forms of labor and the changing economic conditions contributed to this decline. However, the legacy of slavery continued to shape Greek society for centuries to come. Fact 13. Ancient Greek athletics and the Olympic Games. Ancient Greek athletics were far more than just sport. They were a fundamental aspect of Greek culture, deeply intertwined with religion, warfare, social status, and the very identity of the polis. The Olympic Games, the most prestigious of these athletic festivals, served as a powerful symbol of Greek unity and a celebration of human achievement. The origins and myth of the Olympic Games. The precise origins of the Olympic Games are shrouded in myth and legend. Traditionally, they are said to have been founded in 776 BC at Olympia, a sanctuary dedicated to Zeus in the Peloponnese. Various myths recount the founding of the games, often attributing them to legendary heroes such as Heracles, Hercules. The games were held every 4 years, forming a sacred truce period known as the Ekakeria, during which warfare was suspended to allow athletes and spectators to travel safely to Olympia. The importance of the games is underscored by their dedication to Zeus, the king of the gods, and their location within a sacred sanctuary. The events of the Olympic Games. The early Olympic Games consisted of a single event, the stadion, a foot race of approximately 192 meters. Over time, other events were added, including the dialos, a double stadion race, the dolichos, a long-distance race, wrestling, boxing, pancration, a brutal combination of boxing and wrestling, chariot racing, and the pentathlon, which included running, jumping, discus, javelin, and wrestling. These events tested a range of athletic skills, from speed and strength to agility and endurance. Athletes competed in the nude, symbolizing their dedication to physical perfection and their equality before the gods. Women were generally excluded from participating in or even watching the Olympic Games, although there were separate games for women held at Olympia, dedicated to the goddess Hera. The athletes and the spectators. Athletes at the Olympic Games came from all over the Greek world, representing various city-states and colonies. They underwent rigorous training and competed for glory, honor, and the recognition of their home cities. Victory at the Olympics was a source of immense pride for the athlete and their polis. Olympic victors were often celebrated with statues, poems, and other honors. Spectators flocked to Olympia from across the Greek world, eager to witness the athletic contests and participate in the religious ceremonies. The Olympic Games provided a rare opportunity for Greeks from different regions to come together and celebrate their shared culture and identity. The religious and social significance of the Games. The Olympic Games were deeply intertwined with Greek religion. They were held in honor of Zeus, and religious ceremonies were an integral part of the festival. Athletes competed not only for personal glory but also to please the gods. The Games also had significant social and political implications. They reinforced the values of physical fitness, discipline, and competition. They served as a forum for diplomacy and negotiation between city-states, and they provided a powerful symbol of Greek unity and cultural identity. The decline and revival of the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games continued to be held for over 1,000 years, until they were abolished by the Roman Emperor Theodosius I in 393 AD, as part of his efforts to suppress paganism. The Games remained dormant for centuries, until they were revived in 1896 by Pierre de Coubertin, a French educator and historian. The modern Olympic Games, inspired by the ancient tradition, have become a global sporting event, promoting international understanding and cooperation. Other Panhellenic Games. While the Olympic Games were the most prestigious, there were other important athletic festivals in ancient Greece, known as the Panhellenic Games. These included the Pythian Games at Delphi, dedicated to Apollo, the Isthmian Games at Corinth, dedicated to Poseidon, and the Nemean Games at Nemea, dedicated to Zeus. These games offered similar events and attracted athletes and spectators from across the Greek world. The enduring legacy. Ancient Greek athletics and the Olympic Games have left an enduring legacy on Western culture. The values of physical fitness, competition, and the pursuit of excellence continue to be celebrated in sports around the world. The Olympic Games remain a powerful symbol of international unity and human achievement, inspired by the ancient Greek tradition. Fact 14. Ancient Greek language and literature. Ancient Greek language and literature form the bedrock of Western intellectual and artistic traditions. From the epic poems of Homer to the philosophical treatises of Plato and Aristotle, and the dramatic masterpieces of Sophocles and Euripides, ancient Greek writings have shaped our understanding of history, politics, ethics, and the human condition. The language itself, with its rich vocabulary, intricate grammar, and expressive power, has served as a model for many other languages and continues to be studied and admired today. The development of the Greek language. The Greek language is a member of the Indo-European language family, with its origins tracing back to the Bronze Age. Over time, the Greek language evolved into several distinct dialects, including Attic, Ionic, Doric, and Aeolic. Attic Greek, spoken in Athens, became the dominant literary dialect during the classical period and served as the basis for Koine Greek, a common language that spread throughout the Hellenistic world following the conquests of Alexander the Great. Koine Greek remained the lingua franca of the Eastern Mediterranean for centuries and was the language of the New Testament. The Greek alphabet. The Greek alphabet was derived from the Phoenician alphabet, with the Greeks adding vowels to create a more complete writing system. The Greek alphabet played a crucial role in the development of literacy and the preservation of knowledge. It was also adopted by the Romans, who adapted it into the Latin alphabet, which is used by many languages around the world today. Homer and the epic tradition. The Iliad and the Odyssey, attributed to Homer, are the earliest surviving works of Greek literature. These epic poems, composed in dactylic hexameter, recount the events of the Trojan War and the adventures of Odysseus on his journey home. The Iliad and the Odyssey are not only great works of literature, but also valuable sources of information about Bronze Age Greek society, religion, and values. They established the epic tradition, which influenced many later writers, including Virgil, who wrote the Roman epic, the Aeneid. Lyric poetry. Lyric poetry, which flourished in the Archaic period, explored a wide range of themes, including love, loss, war, and politics. Lyric poets such as Sappho, Alcaeus, and Pindar wrote in a variety of meters and dialects, often accompanied by music. Sappho, a poet from the island of Lesbos, is renowned for her beautiful and passionate poems about love and desire. Pindar, a Theban poet, wrote odes in honor of athletic victors, celebrating their achievements and their connection to the gods. Tragedy. Greek tragedy reached its peak in the 5th century BC, with the works of Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. Tragedies were performed in outdoor theaters as part of religious festivals. They explored profound themes of human suffering, fate, justice, and the relationship between gods and humans. Aeschylus is known for his grand and majestic style and his exploration of religious and moral issues. Sophocles is renowned for his masterful character development and his exploration of moral dilemmas. Euripides is known for his psychological insights and his questioning of traditional values. Comedy. Greek comedy also flourished in the 5th century BC with the works of Aristophanes. Comedies were satirical and often bawdy, poking fun at politicians, philosophers, and other prominent figures. Aristophanes' plays are a valuable source of information about Athenian society and politics. History. Ancient Greek historians, such as Herodotus and Thucydides, made significant contributions to the development of historical writing. Herodotus, known as the father of history, wrote about the Persian Wars, combining historical narrative with ethnographic observations and entertaining anecdotes. Thucydides, who wrote about the Peloponnesian War, emphasized accuracy, objectivity, and the analysis of causes and effects. Philosophy. Ancient Greek philosophy is one of the most important intellectual legacies of the ancient world. Philosophers such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle explored fundamental questions about the nature of reality, the meaning of life, and the principles of morality and justice. Plato's dialogues, such as the Republic, present Socrates' philosophical ideas in a dramatic and engaging way. Aristotle's works, such as Nicomachean Ethics and Politics, provide a comprehensive overview of his philosophical system. Oratory. Ancient Greek oratory was a highly developed art form used in political debates, legal proceedings, and public ceremonies. Orators such as Demosthenes and Isocrates were skilled at using language to persuade and inspire their audiences. Legacy. Ancient Greek language and literature have had a profound and lasting influence on Western culture. Greek words and concepts have been adopted into many languages. Greek literary forms and themes continue to inspire writers and artists today. The philosophical ideas of the ancient Greeks continue to be debated and reinterpreted. The study of ancient Greek language and literature provides valuable insights into the history of Western civilization and the enduring power of human thought and creativity. Fact 15. Ancient Greek legacy and its influence on Western civilization. The legacy of ancient Greece is immense and pervasive, shaping countless aspects of Western civilization, from its political and philosophical foundations to its artistic and scientific traditions. The Greeks' contributions in areas such as democracy, philosophy, literature, art, architecture, science, and mathematics have had a profound and lasting impact on the development of Western thought and culture. Political thought and democracy. Perhaps the most significant legacy of ancient Greece is the concept of democracy. The Athenian democracy, while limited in its scope, excluding women, slaves, and foreigners, established the principle of popular sovereignty and citizen participation in government. The ideas of freedom of speech, equality before the law, and the rule of the people, which were central to the Athenian democracy, have been influential in the development of democratic institutions around the world. Greek political philosophers such as Plato and Aristotle also made important contributions to political thought, exploring different forms of government and the principles of justice and good governance. Philosophy and ethics. Ancient Greek philosophers laid the foundation for Western philosophical thought. Socrates' emphasis on critical thinking and self-examination, Plato's theory of forms and his vision of an ideal society, and Aristotle's systematic approach to knowledge and his ethical theory of virtue have had a profound and lasting impact on Western philosophy. Greek ethical thought, with its emphasis on reason, virtue, and the pursuit of happiness, has shaped our understanding of morality and the good life. Literature and drama. Ancient Greek literature and drama have served as models for writers and playwrights for centuries. The epic poems of Homer, the tragedies of Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, and the comedies of Aristophanes continue to be read and performed today. Greek literary forms, such as the epic, the tragedy, and the comedy, have been adopted and adapted by writers in many different languages and cultures. The themes and characters of Greek myths and legends continue to inspire artists and writers. Art and architecture. Ancient Greek art and architecture are renowned for their beauty, harmony, and balance. Greek sculptures, such as the Dorophoros and the Venus de Milo, have been admired and emulated for their idealized representations of the human form. Greek architectural orders, such as the Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, have been used in buildings around the world for centuries. The Parthenon in Athens, a masterpiece of Doric architecture, is a symbol of ancient Greek civilization and a testament to the enduring power of Greek art and architecture. Science and mathematics. Ancient Greek scientists and mathematicians made important contributions to the development of scientific and mathematical knowledge. Thales, Pythagoras, Euclid, Archimedes, and Ptolemy laid the foundation for many of the scientific and mathematical disciplines that we study today. Greek astronomy, geometry, and physics have had a profound influence on the development of Western science. Language and vocabulary. The Greek language has contributed numerous words to the English language and other Western languages. Many scientific, philosophical, and technical terms are derived from Greek roots. The Greek alphabet has also influenced the development of other alphabets, including the Latin alphabet. The Olympic Games. The modern Olympic Games, inspired by the ancient Greek tradition, have become a global sporting event, promoting international understanding and cooperation. The Olympic Games are a testament to the enduring legacy of ancient Greece and its emphasis on physical fitness, competition, and the pursuit of excellence. Values and ideals. Ancient Greek civilization embodied certain values and ideals that continue to be relevant today. These include a commitment to reason, a belief in human potential, a pursuit of excellence, and a dedication to civic virtue. These values have shaped Western culture and continue to inspire us to strive for a better world. The Renaissance and the revival of Greek learning. The Renaissance, a period of renewed interest in classical learning, saw a revival of interest in ancient Greek language, literature, and philosophy. Renaissance scholars rediscovered and translated many ancient Greek texts, making them available to a wider audience. The rediscovery of Greek learning had a profound impact on the development of Renaissance art, literature, and thought. Continuing relevance. The legacy of ancient Greece continues to be felt in the 21st century. The ideas, values, and artistic achievements of the ancient Greeks continue to inspire and challenge us. The study of ancient Greece provides valuable insights into the history of Western civilization and the enduring power of human thought and creativity. Fact 16. Ancient Greek economy and trade. The ancient Greek economy, although primarily agrarian, was also dynamic and complex, characterized by regional specialization, extensive trade networks, and the development of sophisticated economic institutions. Understanding the economic foundations of ancient Greek civilization is crucial to grasping its political, social, and cultural achievements. Agriculture. Agriculture was the foundation of the ancient Greek economy. The majority of the population was engaged in farming, cultivating crops such as wheat, barley, olives, and grapes. The geography of Greece, with its mountainous terrain and limited arable land, presented challenges to agriculture. However, the Greeks developed innovative farming techniques, such as terracing and crop rotation, to maximize agricultural output. Olive oil and wine were important export commodities. Small family farms were the dominant form of agricultural production, although larger estates owned by wealthy landowners also existed. Trade and commerce. Trade played a vital role in the ancient Greek economy, particularly for city-states with limited agricultural resources or specialized industries. The Greeks were skilled seafarers and established extensive trade networks throughout the Mediterranean and beyond. They imported grain, timber, metals, and other essential resources from regions such as Egypt, Sicily, and the Black Sea. They exported olive oil, wine, pottery, and manufactured goods. The Athenian port of Piraeus was one of the most important trading centers in the ancient world. Craft production. Craft production was another important sector of the ancient Greek economy. Skilled artisans produced a wide variety of goods, including pottery, textiles, metalwork, and leather goods. Athenian pottery was particularly renowned for its quality and artistic decoration. Corinth was known for its bronze work, and Miletus for its textiles. Craft production was typically organized in small workshops, often employing slaves or hired labor. Money and banking. The use of coinage became widespread in ancient Greece in the 6th century BC. Silver and gold coins were used for trade and commerce. Athens, with its rich silver mines at Laurion, became a major center of coinage production. Banking services such as lending, borrowing, and money changing were also available. Temples sometimes served as safe depositories for money. Slavery. Slavery was an integral part of the ancient Greek economy, providing a cheap and readily available source of labor. Slaves were employed in agriculture, mining, workshops, and domestic service. The number of slaves varied depending on the city-state and the period. Athens had a particularly large slave population. Economic institutions. The ancient Greeks developed various economic institutions to facilitate trade and commerce. These included marketplaces, ports, and trade associations. Some city-states also implemented regulations to protect consumers and promote fair trade. Economic theories. Ancient Greek philosophers also explored economic issues. Xenophon wrote about household management and the importance of agriculture. Plato discussed the division of labor and the role of the state in regulating the economy. Aristotle analyzed different forms of economic activity and criticized the pursuit of wealth for its own sake. Economic cycles. The ancient Greek economy was subject to periods of growth and decline. Wars, natural disasters, and political instability could disrupt trade and agriculture. The Peloponnesian War, for example, had a devastating impact on the Athenian economy. Regional specialization. The geography of Greece led to regional specialization in agricultural and industrial production. Athens, with its access to the sea and its skilled artisans, became a major center of trade and manufacturing. Sparta, with its focus on military training and discipline, relied on agriculture and the labor of the Helots, a class of enslaved people. Corinth controlled important trade routes and developed a thriving commercial economy. Influence on later economies. The ancient Greek economy had a lasting influence on later economies. The use of coinage, the development of trade networks, and the emergence of economic institutions all contributed to the development of Western capitalism. The economic theories of the ancient Greeks continue to be studied and debated by economists today. Fact 17. The Delian League and the Athenian Empire. The Delian League, initially a voluntary alliance of Greek city-states formed to defend against further Persian incursions after the Persian Wars, evolved into an Athenian empire, transforming the political landscape of the Aegean and contributing to the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War. Its rise and fall offer a crucial case study in the dynamics of power, alliance politics, and imperial ambition in ancient Greece. Formation of the Delian League. Following the Persian Wars 499 to 449 BC, in which the Greek city-states successfully repelled the Persian Empire's attempts to conquer Greece, a sense of collective security emerged. Many city-states recognized the need for a permanent alliance to deter future Persian aggression. In 478 BC, under the leadership of Athens, the Delian League was formed. The League's headquarters were initially located on the island of Delos, a sacred site in the Aegean. The League's primary purpose was to continue the war against Persia and to liberate Greek cities still under Persian control. Structure and organization. The Delian League was initially conceived as an equal partnership among its members. Each city-state contributed either ships or money to the League's treasury. Athens, with its powerful navy, provided the majority of the ships and served as the League's leader. The League's council, composed of representatives from all member states, met regularly to make decisions about military strategy and League policy. However, the balance of power within the League soon shifted in favor of Athens. Athenian domination. Over time, Athens began to exert increasing control over the Delian League. Athens used its superior naval power to enforce League policies and to suppress dissent among member states. Athens also gradually converted the League's contributions from ships to money, arguing that it could more efficiently manage the League's finances. This shift gave Athens greater control over the League's resources and reduced the military autonomy of the other member states. Athens also transferred the League's treasury from Delos to Athens, further consolidating its power. The Athenian Empire. By the mid-5th century BC, the Delian League had effectively transformed into an Athenian empire. Athens used the League's resources to fund its own building projects, such as the Parthenon, and to support its own military ambitions. Member states were increasingly treated as subjects rather than allies. Athens imposed its own laws and customs on member states, interfered in their internal affairs, and extracted tribute from them. Many city-states resented Athenian domination and sought to break free from the League. Revolts and suppression. Several city-states attempted to revolt against Athenian rule, but these revolts were often brutally suppressed. Athens used its naval power to blockade rebellious cities and to enforce its authority. The suppression of these revolts further solidified Athenian control over the League and reinforced its imperial status. The Peloponnesian War. The transformation of the Delian League into an Athenian empire contributed to the outbreak of the Peloponnesian War, 431 to 404 BC. Sparta, the leader of the Peloponnesian League, viewed Athenian expansion with alarm and sought to contain Athenian power. Many of Athens' former allies in the Delian League also joined the Spartan alliance, hoping to overthrow Athenian rule. The Peloponnesian War was a long and devastating conflict that ultimately led to the decline of Athens and the dissolution of the Athenian Empire. Legacy. The Delian League and its transformation into the Athenian Empire offer a valuable case study in the dynamics of power, alliance politics, and imperial ambition. The League's initial success in defending against Persia was undermined by Athenian dominance and the abuse of power. The League's evolution illustrates the challenges of maintaining a balance of power within alliances and the dangers of imperial overreach. Fact 18. Women in ancient Greece. The lives of women in ancient Greece were significantly different from those of men, characterized by limited legal rights, social restrictions, and a primary focus on domestic roles. While the experiences of women varied across different city-states, social classes, and periods, certain generalizations can be made about their status and roles in Greek society. Legal and political status. Women in ancient Greece generally lacked legal and political rights. They could not vote, hold public office, or participate directly in political decision-making. They were typically under the legal guardianship of a male relative, such as their father, husband, or brother. Women could not own property independently, although they could inherit property, which was then managed by their male guardian. They had limited rights in legal proceedings and were often represented by male advocates. Domestic roles. The primary role of women in ancient Greece was to manage the household and raise children. They were responsible for tasks such as cooking, cleaning, weaving cloth, and caring for the family. Athenian women, particularly those of citizen families, were largely confined to the home and had limited opportunities for public life. They were expected to be modest, virtuous, and obedient to their husbands. Education. Education for women was generally limited. Girls typically did not attend formal schools, although some were taught to read and write by their mothers or female slaves. Wealthy families might hire tutors to educate their daughters in subjects such as music, poetry, and household management. However, formal education for women was rare. Marriage and family. Marriage was an important social institution in ancient Greece. Women typically married in their teens, often arranged by their fathers or male relatives. The primary purpose of marriage was to produce legitimate heirs and to maintain the continuity of the family. Divorce was possible, but it was more difficult for women to initiate divorce proceedings than for men. Religious roles. Women played important roles in religious ceremonies and festivals. They participated in processions, made offerings to the gods, and served as priestesses in certain cults. Some goddesses, such as Athena and Artemis, were particularly revered by women. Spartan women. Spartan women enjoyed a somewhat different status than women in other Greek city-states. Spartan women received physical training and were expected to be strong and healthy, as their primary role was to produce healthy offspring for the Spartan army. They had more freedom and independence than Athenian women and were able to manage their own property. Notable women. While women in ancient Greece faced significant restrictions, there were some notable women who achieved recognition for their accomplishments. Sappho, a poet from the island of Lesbos, is renowned for her beautiful and passionate poems about love and desire. Aspasia, the consort of Pericles, was a highly educated and influential woman who played a role in Athenian politics and intellectual life. Philosophical perspectives. Greek philosophers held diverse views on the nature and role of women. Plato argued that women were capable of the same intellectual achievements as men and that they should be educated and allowed to participate in public life. Aristotle, on the other hand, believed that women were inferior to men and that their proper role was in the household. Limitations and challenges. Women in ancient Greece faced significant limitations and challenges. They were denied basic rights and opportunities and were subject to social expectations that confined them to domestic roles. However, they played an important role in maintaining the family, transmitting cultural values, and participating in religious life. The study of women in ancient Greece provides valuable insights into the social and cultural complexities of this civilization. Fact 19. Ancient Greek architecture temples. Structure and significance. Ancient Greek temples stand as iconic symbols of their civilization, embodying their architectural prowess, religious devotion, and aesthetic ideals. These structures, more than just places of worship, were expressions of civic pride, artistic innovation, and the Greeks' profound connection to their gods. Understanding the structure and significance of Greek temples is key to unlocking the essence of ancient Greek culture. Purpose and function. Greek temples were primarily designed to house the cult statue of a particular deity. They were not intended for large gatherings of worshippers. Instead, religious ceremonies and sacrifices typically took place at an altar located outside the temple. The temple served as a sacred dwelling place for the god or goddess, a focal point for religious devotion, and a repository for valuable offerings and dedications. Location and orientation. Temples were often located in prominent positions within a city or sanctuary, such as on a hilltop or overlooking a sacred grove. The orientation of the temple was typically determined by religious considerations, often aligned with the rising or setting sun, or with a particular geographic feature. Basic structure and elements. The basic structure of a Greek temple consisted of a rectangular cella, naos, surrounded by a colonnade, peristyle. The cella housed the cult statue and was the most sacred part of the temple. The pronaos, porch, provided an entrance to the cella, and the opisthotomos, rear room, was often used for storage or as a treasury. The colonnade provided structural support for the roof and created a covered walkway around the temple. The temple was typically constructed of limestone or marble, and the roof was covered with terracotta tiles. Architectural orders. Greek temples were built according to one of three main architectural orders: Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. Each order was characterized by distinct column styles, proportions, and decorative elements. Doric order. The Doric order is the simplest and most austere of the three orders. Doric columns are plain and massive with no base. The capital is a simple, unadorned echinus, a rounded cushion. The frieze is decorated with triglyphs, vertical grooves, and metopes, square panels. The Parthenon in Athens is a prime example of Doric architecture. It conveys strength, simplicity, and dignity. Ionic order. The Ionic order is more elegant and ornate than the Doric order. Ionic columns are slender and have a base. The capital is decorated with volutes, scroll-like ornaments. The frieze is typically a continuous band of sculpted figures. The Temple of Athena Nike on the Acropolis in Athens is an example of Ionic architecture. It communicates grace, elegance, and refinement. Corinthian order. The Corinthian order is the most elaborate and decorative of the three orders. Corinthian columns are similar to Ionic columns but have a more ornate capital decorated with acanthus leaves. The Temple of Olympian Zeus in Athens is an example of Corinthian architecture. It suggests opulence, grandeur, and sophistication. Sculptural decoration. Greek temples were often adorned with elaborate sculptures, which served to enhance their beauty and convey religious messages. Sculptures were typically placed in the pediments, triangular gables, above the columns and in the metopes of the Doric frieze. These sculptures often depicted scenes from mythology or history, such as the battles of the gods or the heroic deeds of mortals. Proportions and harmony. Greek architects were meticulous in their attention to proportions and harmony. They believed that beauty could be achieved through the application of mathematical ratios and principles. The proportions of the temple, from the height of the columns to the spacing of the metopes, were carefully calculated to create a sense of balance and visual appeal. Influence and legacy. Ancient Greek temples have had a profound and lasting influence on Western architecture. Their designs have been emulated in buildings around the world, from government buildings and museums to private residences. The Greek architectural orders continue to be used and adapted by architects today. Greek temples stand as a testament to the artistic genius and cultural achievements of ancient Greece. Fact 20. Ancient Greek influence on the Roman Empire. The influence of ancient Greece on the Roman Empire was profound and multifaceted, shaping Roman culture, art, literature, philosophy, religion, and even political institutions. The Romans, while conquering Greece militarily, were deeply influenced by Greek civilization, adopting and adapting many aspects of Greek culture to their own society. This cultural exchange played a crucial role in the development of Roman civilization and its subsequent transmission to the Western world. Greek art and architecture. Roman art and architecture were heavily influenced by Greek models. Roman artists and architects often copied or adapted Greek sculptures, paintings, and architectural designs. Roman temples, public buildings, and private homes were often decorated with Greek-style columns, friezes, and sculptures. The Romans also adopted Greek architectural techniques, such as the use of arches and concrete, to construct massive and impressive structures, such as the Colosseum and the Pantheon. Greek literature and language. Roman literature was deeply influenced by Greek literature. Roman writers often imitated or translated Greek works, and many Roman literary forms, such as the epic, the tragedy, and the comedy, were derived from Greek models. The Roman poet Virgil, for example, based his epic poem, the Aeneid, on Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. The Roman playwrights Plautus and Terence adapted Greek comedies for the Roman stage. Many educated Romans also learned to speak and read Greek, and Greek became the language of the intellectual elite. Greek philosophy. Roman philosophy was also heavily influenced by Greek thought. Roman philosophers often studied and adopted the ideas of Greek philosophers such as Plato, Aristotle, and the Stoics. Stoicism, in particular, became a popular philosophy among Roman elites, emphasizing virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature. Roman philosophers such as Cicero and Seneca wrote extensively about Greek philosophical ideas and adapted them to Roman society. Greek religion. Roman religion was also influenced by Greek religion. The Romans identified their own gods and goddesses with Greek deities, adopting many of their myths and rituals. Jupiter, for example, was identified with Zeus, Juno with Hera, and Neptune with Poseidon. The Romans also adopted Greek religious practices, such as the worship of oracles and the holding of athletic games in honor of the gods. Greek education. The Romans adopted the Greek system of education, which emphasized rhetoric, grammar, literature, and philosophy. Wealthy Roman families often hired Greek tutors to educate their children. Roman schools followed Greek models and used Greek textbooks. Political thought and institutions. While the Romans developed their own unique political institutions, they were also influenced by Greek political thought. Roman writers such as Cicero studied and analyzed Greek political systems, such as the Athenian democracy and the Spartan oligarchy. The Romans also adopted some Greek political concepts, such as the idea of citizenship and the importance of civic virtue. The spread of Greek culture. The Roman Empire played a crucial role in spreading Greek culture throughout the Mediterranean world and beyond. Roman cities, such as Alexandria and Antioch, became centers of Greek learning and culture. Roman administrators and soldiers brought Greek customs and traditions to the provinces of the empire. The Roman Empire thus served as a conduit for the transmission of Greek civilization to the West. The Byzantine Empire. After the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, continued to preserve and develop Greek culture for centuries. The Byzantine Empire was a Greek-speaking and Orthodox Christian state that maintained many aspects of Greek language, literature, art, and philosophy. The Byzantine Empire played a crucial role in transmitting Greek knowledge and traditions to the medieval West. The Renaissance and the rediscovery of Greece. The Renaissance saw a renewed interest in ancient Greek learning and culture. Renaissance scholars rediscovered and translated many ancient Greek texts, making them available to a wider audience. The rediscovery of Greek learning had a profound impact on the development of Renaissance art, literature, and thought. Enduring legacy. The influence of ancient Greece on the Roman Empire and, through Rome, on Western civilization is undeniable. Greek art, literature, philosophy, and political thought continue to be studied and admired today. The legacy of ancient Greece is a testament to the enduring power of human creativity and the importance of cultural exchange. Fact 21. Ancient Greek drama tragedy. Structure, themes, and key playwrights. Ancient Greek tragedy, a cornerstone of Western dramatic tradition, was a highly structured and deeply philosophical art form that explored profound themes of human suffering, fate, morality, and the relationship between gods and humans. Understanding the structure, themes, and key playwrights of Greek tragedy is essential for appreciating its enduring influence on theater and literature. Origins and development. Greek tragedy evolved from religious rituals honoring Dionysus, the god of wine, fertility, and theater. The dithyramb, a choral hymn sung and danced in honor of Dionysus, is considered the precursor to tragedy. Over time, the dithyramb evolved into a more structured form, with the addition of a single actor who engaged in dialogue with the chorus. Thespis is traditionally credited with being the first actor to step out of the chorus and speak lines independently, giving rise to the term thespian for actor. Structure of Greek tragedy. Greek tragedies typically followed a strict structural pattern, consisting of a prologue, parados, episodes, choral odes, and an exodus. Prologue. The prologue provides background information about the play, setting the scene and introducing the main characters and conflicts. Parados. The parados is the entrance of the chorus, who sing and dance as they enter the orchestra. The chorus provides commentary on the action and expresses the emotions of the community. Episodes. The episodes are the main dramatic scenes of the play, in which the characters engage in dialogue and action. The episodes are typically separated by choral odes. Choral odes. The choral odes are lyrical interludes sung and danced by the chorus. The chorus comments on the action, provides moral reflections, and expresses the emotions of the community. The choral odes often use complex poetic meters and imagery. Exodus. The Exodus is the final scene of the play, in which the characters exit the stage and the chorus delivers a final summary or moral reflection. Key themes of Greek tragedy. Greek tragedies explored a wide range of profound themes, including fate and free will. The conflict between fate and free will is a central theme in Greek tragedy. Characters often struggle against their predetermined destinies, but their efforts are often futile. Hubris. Hubris, or excessive pride, is a common flaw in tragic heroes. Characters who exhibit hubris often challenge the gods or disregard moral boundaries, leading to their downfall. Justice and revenge. The themes of justice and revenge are frequently explored in Greek tragedies. Characters often seek revenge for wrongs committed against them, but their pursuit of revenge can lead to further violence and suffering. Suffering and loss. Greek tragedies often depict the suffering and loss of innocent people. Characters are often forced to endure great hardship and tragedy, raising questions about the nature of suffering and the meaning of life. The role of the gods. The gods play a significant role in Greek tragedies, often intervening in human affairs and influencing the course of events. The gods can be both benevolent and malevolent, and their motives are often inscrutable. Key playwrights. The three great tragedians of ancient Greece were Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. Aeschylus, 525 to 456 BC. Aeschylus is considered the father of Greek tragedy. He introduced the second actor, increasing the dramatic possibilities of the form. His plays, such as the Orestia trilogy, explore themes of justice, revenge, and the relationship between gods and humans. Aeschylus is known for his grand and majestic style and his exploration of religious and moral issues. Sophocles, 496 to 406 BC. Sophocles is known for his masterful character development and his exploration of moral dilemmas. He introduced the third actor, further increasing the complexity of dramatic interaction. His most famous plays include Oedipus Rex, Antigone, and Electra. Sophocles is known for his balance, clarity, and profound understanding of the human condition. Euripides, 480 to 406 BC. Euripides was the most experimental and controversial of the three tragedians. He often challenged traditional values and explored the psychological complexities of his characters. His plays, such as Medea, the Bacchae, and the Trojan Women, are known for their intense emotion and their questioning of established norms. Legacy. Ancient Greek tragedy has had a profound and lasting influence on Western drama. The themes, characters, and structural elements of Greek tragedy have been adopted and adapted by playwrights for centuries. The works of Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides continue to be performed and studied today, serving as a testament to the enduring power of Greek tragedy. Fact 22. Technology and innovations in ancient Greece. While often lauded for their philosophical prowess and artistic achievements, the ancient Greeks also made considerable strides in technology and innovation, developing tools and techniques that profoundly influenced subsequent civilizations and laid the groundwork for many modern inventions. Their ingenuity, driven by both practical needs and intellectual curiosity, led to advancements in fields ranging from agriculture and construction to warfare and timekeeping. Agriculture. The ancient Greeks developed several agricultural innovations to improve crop yields and manage their often challenging terrain. Terracing, the creation of level platforms on hillsides, maximized arable land and prevented soil erosion. Crop rotation techniques, involving the planting of different crops in succession, helped to maintain soil fertility. The Greeks also used irrigation systems to water their crops, diverting water from rivers and springs to fields. Furthermore, they developed improved plows and other agricultural tools to increase efficiency. Construction and engineering. The Greeks were master builders, constructing impressive temples, public buildings, and fortifications. They developed advanced techniques for quarrying, transporting, and shaping stone, using cranes, pulleys, and levers to lift heavy blocks. The invention of concrete, although later perfected by the Romans, was pioneered by the Greeks, allowing them to construct more complex and durable structures. The Greeks also developed sophisticated systems for water supply and sanitation, including aqueducts, cisterns, and sewers. Warfare. Ancient Greek warfare was characterized by several technological innovations. The hoplite phalanx, a tightly packed formation of heavily armed infantrymen, was a formidable military force. The Greeks developed improved armor and weaponry, including the bronze helmet, breastplate, and greaves, as well as the spear, sword, and shield. They also developed siege engines, such as catapults and battering rams, to breach fortified cities. The trireme, a fast and maneuverable warship powered by 3 banks of oars, dominated naval warfare in the Aegean Sea. Timekeeping. The ancient Greeks developed various devices for measuring time, including sundials, water clocks, and mechanical clocks. Sundials, which used the position of the sun to indicate the time of day, were common in public spaces and private homes. Water clocks, which measured the passage of time by the flow of water, were more accurate than sundials, especially on cloudy days. The Greeks also developed complex mechanical clocks, using gears and weights to regulate the movement of a pointer. Mathematics and science. The Greeks made significant contributions to mathematics and science, developing theories and tools that had practical applications. Euclid's Elements systematized Greek geometry and provided a foundation for surveying and engineering. Archimedes made important advances in mechanics, developing levers, pulleys, and screws that were used to lift heavy objects and pump water. The Greeks also developed the astrolabe, an astronomical instrument used to measure the altitude of stars and planets. Other inventions. The Greeks invented a wide range of other useful devices, including the odometer, used to measure distance traveled, and the water organ, a musical instrument that used water pressure to create sound. They also developed improved methods for mining, metallurgy, and pottery making. Limitations. While the Greeks made significant technological advances, their progress was limited by certain factors, including a reliance on slave labor, a lack of empirical experimentation, and a tendency towards theoretical speculation rather than practical application. Legacy. Despite these limitations, the technological innovations of the ancient Greeks had a profound and lasting influence on Western civilization. Their tools and techniques were adopted and adapted by later civilizations, contributing to the development of modern technology. The Greek emphasis on reason, observation, and experimentation laid the foundation for the scientific revolution. Fact 23. Slavery in Sparta. The Helots. The social structure of Sparta, the renowned military power of ancient Greece, was fundamentally shaped by its unique system of state-controlled serfdom, primarily involving the Helots. Unlike chattel slavery prevalent in other Greek city-states, the Helots were a distinct population group, tied to the land and subjected to a system of oppression that was crucial to Sparta's economic and military dominance, but also a constant source of internal tension and fear. Understanding the Helot system is vital to comprehending the unique character of Spartan society. Origins of the Helots. The Helots were primarily descendants of the Messenians, a neighboring population conquered by Sparta in a series of wars. Unlike slaves acquired through trade or warfare, the Helots were a subjugated population living within Spartan territory. Their status was hereditary, meaning that children born to Helot parents were automatically Helots themselves. Status and rights, or lack thereof, Helots were not chattel slaves in the typical sense. They were not individually owned by Spartan citizens. Instead, they were owned by the Spartan state and assigned to individual Spartan families to work the land. Helots had no political rights and could not own property. They could not travel freely and were subject to the control and discipline of their Spartan masters. They were required to provide a fixed portion of their produce to their Spartan owners, retaining the remainder for their own subsistence. Economic role. The Helots were the backbone of the Spartan economy. They performed the vast majority of agricultural labor, cultivating the land and producing the food that sustained the Spartan population. This allowed Spartan citizens to focus on military training and civic duties, rather than engaging in manual labor. The Helots also performed other essential tasks, such as household service and craft production. Military service. While generally excluded from serving as hoplites, heavily armed infantry, Helots did serve in the Spartan army as light troops, such as skirmishers and messengers. They also served as attendants to Spartan warriors. In times of crisis, Helots were sometimes armed and used as auxiliary troops. Oppression and control. The Helots were subjected to a system of oppression and control that was designed to prevent rebellion and maintain Spartan dominance. Spartan citizens were authorized to kill Helots without legal repercussions. The Krypteia, a secret police force composed of young Spartan men, patrolled the countryside and terrorized the Helot population. The Spartans also periodically declared war on the Helots, allowing them to kill Helots with impunity. These measures were intended to instill fear and discourage resistance. Culture and identity. Despite the oppression they faced, the Helots maintained their own culture and identity. They spoke their own language and preserved their own traditions. They also resisted Spartan rule through various forms of passive resistance, such as slowing down work, sabotaging equipment, and running away. Revolts and resistance. The Helots posed a constant threat to Spartan stability. They outnumbered the Spartan citizens by a significant margin and were always resentful of their subjugated status. There were several major Helot revolts throughout Spartan history, the most famous being the Second Messenian War. These revolts were brutally suppressed, but they served as a reminder of the precariousness of Spartan rule. Impact on Spartan society. The Helot system had a profound impact on Spartan society. It allowed the Spartans to maintain their unique military lifestyle and to dominate the Peloponnese. However, it also created a society that was based on fear and oppression. The constant threat of Helot rebellion led to a militaristic and authoritarian culture. The Helot system also prevented Sparta from developing a more diverse and dynamic economy. Decline of the Helot system. The Helot system gradually declined in later centuries. The Peloponnesian War weakened Sparta and made it more difficult to control the Helot population. The rise of Thebes in the 4th century BC further challenged Spartan dominance. Over time, the Helots were gradually emancipated or assimilated into the broader population. However, the legacy of the Helot system continued to shape Spartan society for centuries. Fact 24. Ancient Greek music. Ancient Greek music was an integral part of almost every aspect of life, permeating religious ceremonies, theatrical performances, athletic competitions, and even private gatherings. Although our understanding of ancient Greek music is incomplete due to the limited surviving evidence, we can piece together a picture of its instruments, forms, theories, and significance. Sources of information. Our knowledge of ancient Greek music comes from various sources, including literary texts. Ancient Greek writers, such as Plato, Aristotle, and Aristophanes, discussed music in their works, providing insights into its role in society, its ethical effects, and its theoretical principles. Archaeological evidence. Archaeological finds, such as musical instruments, depictions of musicians, and inscriptions relating to music, offer valuable clues about the practice and performance of music in ancient Greece. Musical fragments. A small number of musical fragments have survived on papyrus and stone, providing examples of ancient Greek melodies and rhythms. Instruments. The ancient Greeks used a variety of musical instruments, including lyre. The lyre was a stringed instrument that was associated with Apollo and was considered a symbol of harmony and order. It consisted of a soundbox, 2 arms, and a crossbar, with strings stretched between the soundbox and the crossbar. Aulos. The aulos was a double-reed wind instrument that was associated with Dionysus and was considered a symbol of passion and ecstasy. It consisted of 2 pipes, each with finger holes. Kithara. The kithara was a larger and more elaborate version of the lyre. It was used for more formal and sophisticated performances. Panpipes. Syrinx. The panpipes consisted of a series of pipes of different lengths, which were blown across to produce different notes. Percussion instruments. The Greeks also used various percussion instruments, such as drums, cymbals, and rattles. Musical forms and styles. Ancient Greek music was primarily monophonic, meaning that it consisted of a single melodic line. Harmony, in the modern sense, was not a central feature of Greek music. However, the Greeks did use various techniques to create musical texture, such as heterophony, the simultaneous performance of slightly different versions of the same melody, and the use of drones, sustained notes. Greek music was closely linked to poetry and dance. Songs were often sung to accompany epic poems, lyric poetry, and theatrical performances. Different musical styles were associated with different genres and occasions. Musical theory. The ancient Greeks developed a sophisticated system of musical theory based on mathematical ratios and philosophical principles. Pythagoras and his followers believed that music was based on mathematical relationships and that the cosmos itself was governed by musical harmony. Greek music theorists developed scales and modes, which were based on different patterns of intervals. They also explored the ethical effects of music, believing that certain types of music could promote virtue and harmony, while others could incite passion and disorder. Role in society. Music played a central role in ancient Greek society. It was used in religious ceremonies to honor the gods, in theatrical performances to enhance the drama, in athletic competitions to inspire the athletes, and in private gatherings to provide entertainment and create a social atmosphere. Music was also used for educational purposes, teaching children about history, mythology, and ethics. Ethos of music. The Greeks believed that music had a powerful ethical effect on the listener, capable of influencing character and behavior. Certain modes were associated with specific emotions and moral qualities. For instance, the Dorian mode was considered noble and virtuous, while the Phrygian mode was thought to be exciting and passionate. This belief in the ethos of music influenced musical composition and performance. Limited surviving evidence. While music was clearly a vibrant part of ancient Greek life, the scarcity of notated music makes it difficult to fully reconstruct its sounds and practices. The surviving fragments offer tantalizing glimpses but represent only a small fraction of the music that once existed. Despite these limitations, the study of ancient Greek music provides valuable insights into the cultural and intellectual world of ancient Greece. The Greeks' sophisticated musical theory, their diverse range of instruments, and their belief in the ethical power of music have had a lasting influence on Western musical tradition. Fact 25. The afterlife in ancient Greek beliefs. The ancient Greeks held complex and evolving beliefs about the afterlife, varying across different periods, regions, and philosophical schools. While no single, unified concept of the afterlife existed, certain common themes and figures recur in Greek mythology and literature, offering a glimpse into their understanding of death, the soul, and the fate that awaited humans beyond the mortal realm. The underworld. The most prevalent concept of the afterlife in ancient Greece was the underworld, a dark and shadowy realm ruled by Hades, the god of the dead, and his queen, Persephone. The underworld was typically located beneath the earth, often accessed through caves or rivers. Souls of the dead were believed to travel to the underworld, guided by Hermes, the messenger of the gods, who acted as a psychopomp. The river Styx. The river Styx, a mythical river that formed the boundary between the world of the living and the underworld, was a central feature of the afterlife. Charon, the ferryman, transported souls across the river Styx to the underworld, charging a fee for his service, usually a coin placed in the mouth of the deceased. Souls who could not pay the fee were condemned to wander the shores of the Styx for eternity. Regions of the underworld. The underworld was divided into several regions, each with its own distinct characteristics and inhabitants. Erebus. Erebus was the dark and gloomy region of the underworld through which souls first passed. Tartarus. Tartarus was a deep, abyss-like region of the underworld that served as a prison for the Titans and other enemies of the gods. It was also a place of punishment for particularly wicked mortals. Asphodel Meadows. The Asphodel Meadows were a neutral region of the underworld where ordinary souls wandered aimlessly, without reward or punishment. Elysian Fields, Elysium, the Elysian Fields, or Elysium, were a paradise-like region of the underworld reserved for heroes, virtuous individuals, and those favored by the gods. It was a place of eternal bliss and enjoyment. Isles of the Blessed, a separate, even more exclusive paradise reserved for those who had been reincarnated 3 times and achieved Elysium each time. Judgment of the Dead. Upon arriving in the underworld, souls were judged by 3 judges: Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus. These judges determined the fate of each soul, assigning it to the appropriate region of the underworld. Ghosts and shades. The souls of the dead were often referred to as ghosts or shades. They were believed to be pale and insubstantial reflections of their former selves. They could sometimes interact with the living, appearing in dreams or visions. Burial rituals. The Greeks placed great importance on proper burial rituals, believing that the soul could not find rest in the underworld until the body had been properly buried or cremated. Burial rituals typically included washing and dressing the body, placing a coin in the mouth for Sharon, and conducting a funeral procession. Philosophical perspectives. Greek philosophers offered diverse perspectives on the afterlife. Plato, in his Republic, described a vision of the afterlife in which souls were judged and rewarded or punished based on their actions in life. He also believed in reincarnation, the idea that souls could be reborn into new bodies. Epicureans, on the other hand, believed that the soul dissolved upon death and that there was no afterlife. Evolution of beliefs. Greek beliefs about the afterlife evolved over time. Early Greek beliefs were often vague and pessimistic, emphasizing the darkness and gloom of the underworld. Later beliefs, influenced by mystery religions and philosophical ideas, offered more hope and comfort, with visions of paradise and reincarnation. Influence on Western culture. Greek beliefs about the afterlife have had a lasting influence on Western culture. The concepts of the underworld, Elysium, and the river Styx have been incorporated into literature, art, and film. The Greek emphasis on proper burial rituals and the importance of honoring the dead continues to resonate today. Fact 26. Ancient Greek colonization. Ancient Greek colonization, a significant phenomenon that spans several centuries, roughly from the 8th to the 6th centuries BC, involved the establishment of new settlements and communities by Greek city-states, polis, throughout the Mediterranean and Black Sea regions. This wave of expansion had profound economic, political, and cultural consequences, shaping the development of both the Greek world and the regions that came under its influence. Motives for colonization. Several factors motivated Greek colonization. Population pressure. Many Greek city-states experienced population growth that outstripped their available resources, leading to land scarcity and economic hardship. Colonization offered an outlet for surplus population. Economic opportunities. Colonization provided access to new resources, such as fertile land, raw materials, and trade routes. Greek colonists sought to establish new markets for their goods and to acquire valuable commodities. Political instability. Internal political conflicts and social unrest within Greek city-states sometimes prompted individuals or groups to seek a new life in a foreign land. Trade and commerce. The desire to expand trade networks and secure access to new markets was a major driving force behind colonization. Greek traders established settlements in strategic locations to facilitate trade with local populations. Process of colonization. Greek colonization typically involved a carefully planned and organized process. Selection of a site. The colonizing city-state, the mother city or metropolis, would select a suitable site for a new settlement based on factors such as fertile land, access to water, and defensibility. Appointment of a founder. Oikis, a respected citizen, was appointed as the founder oikistes of the colony. The oikistes was responsible for leading the colonists, organizing the settlement, and establishing its laws and institutions. Consultation with the oracle at Delphi. Colonizing city-states often consulted the oracle at Delphi for guidance and divine approval. The oracle's pronouncements could influence the choice of a site or the organization of the colony. Recruitment of colonists. Colonists were recruited from the mother city and other Greek city-states. They typically included farmers, artisans, merchants, and soldiers. Establishment of a new polis. Once the colonists arrived at the chosen site, they would establish a new polis, city-state, modeled on the institutions and customs of the mother city. The new polis was typically independent and autonomous, although it often maintained close ties with the mother city. Regions of colonization. Greek colonies were established throughout the Mediterranean and Black Sea regions, including southern Italy and Sicily. Magna Graecia. This region became home to numerous prosperous Greek colonies, such as Syracuse, Taras, Tarentum, and Croton. The Black Sea coast. Greek colonies were established along the coasts of the Black Sea, providing access to valuable resources such as grain, timber, and fish. North Africa. Greek colonies were founded in North Africa, including Cyrene. Southern France, Gaul, Massalia, Marseille, was a major Greek colony in southern France. Spain. Greek colonies were established in Spain, primarily for trading purposes. Impact of colonization. Greek colonization had a profound impact on both the Greek world and the regions that came under its influence. Economic expansion. Colonization stimulated trade and economic growth throughout the Greek world. Greek colonists produced and traded agricultural goods, manufactured goods, and raw materials. Cultural exchange. Colonization facilitated cultural exchange between Greeks and indigenous populations. Greek language, art, religion, and political institutions spread to new regions. Indigenous cultures also influenced Greek culture, leading to a blending of traditions. Political development. Colonization contributed to the development of Greek political institutions. The establishment of new polis with their own laws and governments fostered experimentation and innovation in political organization. Spread of Hellenic culture. Colonization played a key role in spreading Hellenic culture throughout the Mediterranean and Black Sea regions. Greek language, art, literature, and philosophy influenced the development of other civilizations. Relationship with mother cities. The relationship between the colonies and their mother cities varied. While colonies were generally independent politically, they often maintained strong cultural and commercial ties with their founders. Disputes sometimes arose between colonies and mother cities, but they were usually resolved peacefully. Decline of colonization. The wave of Greek colonization gradually declined in the 6th century BC. Factors contributing to this decline included increasing competition from other powers, such as the Persians and the Phoenicians, and the growing strength and stability of the Greek city-states. Fact 27. Alexander the Great's military strategies and tactics. Alexander the Great's unparalleled military successes were not solely attributable to his personal charisma or the strength of his Macedonian army. They were also a product of his innovative and adaptable military strategies and tactics. He masterfully combined elements of traditional Greek warfare with new approaches, exploiting enemy weaknesses and adapting his tactics to diverse terrains and opponents. His campaigns offer a rich study in military leadership and strategic thinking. Combined arms warfare. Alexander understood the importance of combining different types of troops to create a versatile and effective army. He integrated the Macedonian phalanx with its heavily armed infantry with cavalry, archers, and light infantry, creating a balanced force capable of tackling a wide range of battlefield situations. The Macedonian phalanx. The phalanx, a tightly packed formation of infantry armed with long spears, sarissas, formed the core of Alexander's army. The phalanx was virtually impenetrable from the front and could deliver a devastating charge. Cavalry. Alexander recognized the importance of cavalry for reconnaissance, flanking maneuvers, and pursuit. He employed both heavy cavalry, companions, and light cavalry, lancers and scouts. The companion cavalry, composed of elite Macedonian nobles, was a powerful shock force. Archers and light infantry. Archers and light infantry provided range support and skirmishing capabilities. They were particularly effective in mountainous terrain. Exploiting enemy weaknesses. Alexander was adept at identifying and exploiting weaknesses in his enemy's formations and strategies. He often used feigned retreats to lure enemy forces into unfavorable positions. He also used flanking maneuvers to attack the enemy's flanks or rear, disrupting their formations and creating confusion. Adaptability. Alexander was a highly adaptable commander who was able to adjust his tactics to suit the terrain and the enemy. He fought in deserts, mountains, and forests, and he faced opponents with diverse military styles and technologies. He learned from his experiences and adapted his strategies accordingly. Logistics. Alexander understood the importance of logistics in sustaining a large army on long campaigns. He established supply depots along his route and maintained a well-organized system of transportation. He also relied on local resources to supplement his supplies. Siege warfare. Alexander was a master of siege warfare, developing innovative techniques for capturing fortified cities. He used siege engines such as catapults and battering rams to breach city walls. He also employed tactics such as mining and blockade to weaken enemy defenses. Speed and decisiveness. Alexander was known for his speed and decisiveness. He moved his army quickly and decisively, often catching his enemies by surprise. He was also willing to take risks and to make bold decisions on the battlefield. Psychological warfare. Alexander understood the importance of psychological warfare. He cultivated an image of invincibility and used propaganda to demoralize his enemies. He also treated his defeated opponents with respect, often incorporating them into his army or administration. Examples of Alexander's tactics. Battle of Granicus River, 334 BC. Alexander launched a daring frontal assault across the Granicus River, surprising the Persian forces and shattering their defenses. Battle of Issus, 333 BC. Alexander exploited a gap in the Persian line, leading a cavalry charge that routed the Persian left wing and forced Darius III to flee the battlefield. Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC. Alexander used a feigned retreat to lure the Persian cavalry away from the main battlefield, then launched a decisive attack on the Persian center, routing Darius' army. Siege of Tyre, 332 BC. Alexander built a causeway to reach the island city of Tyre, then used siege engines and naval power to capture the city after a long and difficult siege. Legacy. Alexander the Great's military strategies and tactics have been studied and admired by military commanders for centuries. His emphasis on combined arms warfare, adaptability, logistics, and psychological warfare remains relevant today. His campaigns serve as a testament to his military genius and his lasting impact on the art of warfare. He proved the importance of understanding the enemy, adapting to terrain, and utilizing all available resources effectively. Fact 28. The mystery cults of ancient Greece. Alongside the official pantheon of Olympian gods and goddesses, Ancient Greece harbored a vibrant world of mystery cults, religious associations characterized by secret rituals, initiation ceremonies, and promises of personal salvation or a more favorable afterlife. These cults, often shrouded in secrecy, offered a more intimate and emotional connection to the divine than the public religion of the city-states, attracting a diverse following across social strata. Nature of mystery cults. Unlike the public religion, which focused on communal worship and civic identity, mystery cults emphasized individual experience and personal transformation. Initiation into a mystery cult typically involved a series of secret rituals, often involving symbolic purification, dramatic reenactments of myths, and the revelation of sacred knowledge. The details of these rituals were kept secret from non-initiates, adding to the cult's mystique and exclusivity. Promises of salvation. Many mystery cults offered initiates the promise of salvation or a more favorable afterlife. They believed that participation in the cult's rituals could purify the soul, overcome the fear of death, and guarantee a blessed existence in the next world. This promise of personal salvation was particularly appealing in a world where life was often precarious and uncertain. Popular mystery cults. Several mystery cults were particularly popular in ancient Greece. The Eleusinian Mysteries. The Eleusinian Mysteries, dedicated to Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, and her daughter Persephone, were the most famous and influential of the Greek mystery cults. They were held annually at Eleusis, near Athens, and attracted initiates from all over the Greek world. The Eleusinian Mysteries promised initiates a blessed afterlife and a deeper understanding of the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The Cult of Dionysus. The cult of Dionysus, the god of wine, ecstasy, and theater, was characterized by ecstatic rituals, including wild dancing, music, and the consumption of wine. Dionysian cults offered initiates a release from social constraints and a sense of communion with the divine. The Orphic Mysteries. The Orphic Mysteries, based on the teachings of the legendary musician Orpheus, emphasized purification of the soul and reincarnation. Orphic initiates followed strict dietary and ethical guidelines in order to achieve a more favorable rebirth. The Cult of Isis. The Cult of Isis, an Egyptian goddess of magic, motherhood, and healing, became popular in the Greek world during the Hellenistic period. The cult of Isis offered initiates a sense of personal connection to the goddess and promises of protection and healing. Secrecy and exclusivity. The secrecy and exclusivity of mystery cults contributed to their appeal. The fact that the rituals were kept secret from non-initiates created a sense of mystique and intrigue. The initiation process itself was often a transformative experience, creating a strong bond between initiates. Criticism and opposition. Mystery cults were not without their critics. Some Greeks viewed them with suspicion, accusing them of being superstitious, irrational, or even subversive. Public officials sometimes attempted to suppress mystery cults that were deemed to be a threat to social order. Influence on Christianity. Some scholars believe that mystery cults influenced the development of early Christianity. The emphasis on personal salvation, ritual initiation, and the promise of a blessed afterlife found in mystery cults may have paved the way for the spread of Christian ideas. Legacy. The mystery cults of ancient Greece provide a fascinating glimpse into the religious and spiritual life of the ancient world. They demonstrate the human desire for personal connection with the divine and the enduring appeal of secret rituals and promises of salvation. Their influence can be seen in various religious and spiritual traditions throughout history. They show the human need for meaning, purpose, and a connection to something beyond the everyday world. Fact 29. Ancient Greek ships and seafaring. The ancient Greeks were renowned seafarers, their lives and civilization intimately connected to the Aegean Sea and the broader Mediterranean. Their mastery of shipbuilding and navigation enabled them to establish trade routes, colonize distant lands, wage wars, and explore the known world. Understanding Greek ships and seafaring practices is crucial to appreciating their economic, political, and cultural achievements. Types of ships. The ancient Greeks developed a variety of ships for different purposes. Trading ships, merchant vessels were designed for carrying cargo, such as grain, wine, olive oil, pottery, and manufactured goods. They were typically wider and more capacious than warships, but slower and less maneuverable. They relied primarily on sail power, although oars could be used for maneuvering in harbors or calm waters. Warships, triremes, and other naval vessels' warships were designed for combat. The trireme, the most famous type of Greek warship, was a sleek and fast vessel powered by 3 banks of oars. Triremes were equipped with a bronze ram at the bow, used to sink or disable enemy ships. Other types of warships included biremes, with 2 banks of oars, and pentaconters with 50 oars. Pirate ships. Pirate ships were similar to warships, but they were often smaller and faster, designed for raiding and capturing merchant vessels. Shipbuilding techniques. Greek shipbuilders were skilled craftsmen who used a variety of techniques to construct their vessels. Ships were typically built of wood, using planks that were fastened together with mortise and tenon joints. The hull was then caulked to make it watertight. The ships were steered using a large or located at the stern. Navigation. Greek navigators relied on a combination of observation, experience, and rudimentary instruments to navigate the seas. They used the sun and stars to determine their latitude. They observed coastal landmarks, such as mountains and islands, to determine their position. They also used soundings, measuring the depth of the water, to avoid shallow areas. They relied on knowledge of prevailing winds and currents to plan their voyages. Trade routes. The Greeks established extensive trade routes throughout the Mediterranean and Black Sea regions. They traded with Egypt, Phoenicia, Italy, Sicily, the Black Sea coast, and other regions. They transported goods such as grain, wine, olive oil, pottery, textiles, metals, and slaves. Naval warfare. Naval warfare played a crucial role in ancient Greek history. Battles were typically fought close to shore, using ramming and boarding tactics. The trireme was the dominant naval weapon, and its speed and maneuverability made it a formidable opponent. The Battle of Salamis, for 80 BC, in which the Greek fleet defeated the Persian fleet, was a pivotal moment in Greek history. Colonization. Greek ships were essential for colonization. They transported colonists to new settlements throughout the Mediterranean and Black Sea regions. They also maintained communication and trade between the colonies and the mother cities. Myths and legends. The sea played a prominent role in Greek mythology and legends. The god Poseidon ruled the sea, and many mythical creatures, such as sirens and sea monsters, inhabited its depths. The voyages of Odysseus and Jason were celebrated in epic poems and stories. Influence on later civilizations. Greek ships and seafaring techniques had a profound influence on later civilizations. The Romans adopted many aspects of Greek shipbuilding and navigation, and Roman ships dominated the Mediterranean for centuries. Limitations. While the Greeks were skilled seafarers, their ships were relatively small and fragile compared to later vessels. They were also vulnerable to storms and piracy. Navigation was challenging, especially in open water. Despite these limitations, the ancient Greeks' mastery of ships and seafaring enabled them to create a vast maritime network, spreading their culture, trade, and influence throughout the ancient world. Fact 30. Ancient Greek attitudes towards foreigners. Ancient Greek attitudes towards foreigners, often exhibiting a complex mix of curiosity, suspicion, and outright disdain, xenophobia, significantly shaped their interactions with other cultures and influenced their understanding of their own identity. While they engaged in extensive trade and cultural exchange, a pervasive sense of Greek superiority and a strong attachment to their polis often led to a sense of separation and otherness regarding non-Greeks. Definition of barbarian. The Greeks commonly referred to non-Greeks as barbarians, barbaroi. This term originally denoted those who spoke languages that sounded like bar to Greek ears, implying a lack of sophistication and intelligibility. Over time, barbarian came to encompass a broader range of negative connotations, including uncivilized, uncultured, and inferior. Reasons for xenophobia. Several factors contributed to Greek xenophobia. Cultural chauvinism. The Greeks believed that their culture was superior to that of other peoples. They valued reason, democracy, and the arts, and they saw these qualities as unique to their civilization. Political instability. The constant warfare and competition between Greek city-states fostered a sense of distrust and suspicion towards outsiders. Economic competition. Greeks sometimes viewed foreigners as economic competitors, fearing that they would take away their jobs or resources. Fear of the unknown. The Greeks were often wary of foreign customs and practices that they did not understand. They feared that foreigners might disrupt their social order or undermine their traditional values. Emphasis on polis identity. Loyalty to one's polis was paramount. Foreigners were, by definition, not members of that community and therefore viewed with some degree of suspicion and distance. Manifestations of xenophobia. Greek xenophobia manifested itself in various ways. Legal discrimination. In many Greek city-states, foreigners were denied certain legal rights and privileges. They could not own land, participate in politics, or marry Greek citizens. Social exclusion. Foreigners were often excluded from Greek social life. They were not invited to symposia, drinking parties, or other social gatherings. Stereotypes and prejudice. Greeks often held negative stereotypes about foreigners, portraying them as lazy, ignorant, or untrustworthy. Violence and expulsion. In extreme cases, foreigners were subjected to violence or expulsion from Greek cities. Exceptions and nuances. While xenophobia was a prevalent attitude in ancient Greece, it was not universally shared. Some Greeks, such as the philosopher Anacharsis and the historian Herodotus, admired foreign cultures and sought to learn from them. Moreover, Greeks often formed close relationships with foreigners who lived and worked in their cities. Furthermore, the level of xenophobia varied across different city-states and periods. Athens, for example, was generally more open to foreigners than Sparta. Influence on Greek history. Greek xenophobia had a significant influence on Greek history. It contributed to the isolation of Greek city-states and hindered the development of a unified Greek nation. It also shaped Greek attitudes towards foreign policy and warfare. Comparison to modern xenophobia. While ancient Greek xenophobia shares some similarities with modern forms of xenophobia, there are also important differences. Ancient Greek xenophobia was often rooted in cultural chauvinism and a sense of political insecurity, whereas modern xenophobia is often fueled by racism, nationalism, and economic anxieties. Legacy. The legacy of Greek xenophobia continues to be debated by historians and scholars. Some argue that it was a relatively minor aspect of Greek culture, while others contend that it played a significant role in shaping Greek history and identity. Regardless of its precise impact, the study of Greek attitudes towards foreigners provides valuable insights into the complexities of ancient Greek society. Fact 31. The role of oracles in ancient Greek society. Oracles, revered figures believed to possess the ability to communicate with the gods and predict the future, wielded immense influence in ancient Greek society. More than mere fortune-tellers, they served as advisors to individuals, city-states, and even rulers, shaping political decisions, guiding military campaigns, and influencing religious practices. Understanding the role of oracles is crucial to grasping the complex interplay of religion, politics, and daily life in ancient Greece. Definition and function. An oracle was a person or place believed to be a conduit through which deities could communicate with mortals. Oracles typically resided in sacred locations, such as temples or caves, and delivered their prophecies in response to questions posed by those seeking guidance. These prophecies were often cryptic and ambiguous, requiring interpretation by priests or other experts. The oracle at Delphi. The most famous and influential oracle in ancient Greece was the oracle at Delphi, located in the sanctuary of Apollo on the slopes of Mount Parnassus. The Delphic oracle, known as the Pythia, was a priestess who delivered her prophecies in a state of trance, believed to be induced by vapors emanating from a chasm in the earth. The pronouncements of the Pythia were highly regarded throughout the Greek world, and people from all walks of life traveled to Delphi to seek her advice. Other important oracles. While the oracle at Delphi was the most prominent, other oracles also played significant roles in ancient Greek society. These included the oracle of Dodona, dedicated to Zeus, and the oracle of Didyma, dedicated to Apollo. Methods of divination. Oracles employed various methods of divination to receive their prophecies, including inspiration. The Pythia at Delphi was believed to be inspired by Apollo, entering a trance-like state in which she uttered prophetic pronouncements. Dreams. Some oracles interpreted dreams as messages from the gods. Omens. Oracles observed omens, such as the flight of birds or the movements of animals, to predict the future. Lottery. Some oracles used a lottery system, drawing lots or casting dice to determine the answer to a question. Interpretation of prophecies. The prophecies delivered by oracles were often ambiguous and open to multiple interpretations. Priests and other experts were responsible for interpreting the prophecies and providing guidance to those who sought their advice. This ambiguity allowed oracles to maintain their reputation for infallibility, regardless of the outcome of events. Influence on politics and warfare. Oracles exerted a significant influence on Greek politics and warfare. City-states often consulted oracles before making important decisions, such as declaring war, forming alliances, or establishing colonies. Military commanders sought the advice of oracles before launching campaigns, hoping to gain insight into the outcome of battles. Religious authority. Oracles were seen as possessing divine authority and were highly respected by the Greek people. Their pronouncements were often accepted as the will of the gods. Oracles played a key role in shaping Greek religious beliefs and practices. Criticism and skepticism. While oracles were widely revered, they were also subject to criticism and skepticism. Some Greeks questioned the validity of their prophecies, accusing them of being fraudulent or politically motivated. The philosopher Socrates, for example, famously challenged the pronouncements of the Delphic oracle. Decline of oracles. The influence of oracles gradually declined in the late Roman period, as Christianity rose in prominence. The Christian emperors suppressed pagan religious practices, including the consultation of oracles. Legacy. Despite their eventual decline, oracles played a crucial role in shaping ancient Greek society. They served as advisors, decision-makers, and interpreters of the divine will. Their influence can be seen in various aspects of Greek history, culture, and religion. They represent the human quest for knowledge, guidance, and understanding of the future. Fact 32. Ancient Greek theories of medicine. Ancient Greek medicine, though lacking the sophisticated scientific instruments and knowledge of modern medicine, laid a critical foundation for Western medical thought, emphasizing observation, rational explanation, and a holistic approach to health. From the Hippocratic corpus to the anatomical investigations of later physicians, the Greeks developed theories and practices that influenced medical practitioners for centuries. Early influences. Early Greek medicine was intertwined with mythology and religion. Healing was often attributed to divine intervention, and temples dedicated to Asclepius, the god of medicine, served as centers for healing and pilgrimage. However, alongside this religious approach, a more rational and observational approach to medicine began to emerge. The Hippocratic corpus. The Hippocratic corpus, a collection of medical texts attributed to Hippocrates and his followers, though likely written by many different authors over a period of time, represents a pivotal moment in the history of medicine. The Hippocratic writings emphasized the importance of careful observation, accurate diagnosis, and rational treatment. They rejected supernatural explanations of disease, attributing illness to natural causes, such as imbalances in the body's humors or environmental factors. The humoral theory. The humoral theory, which dominated Western medicine for centuries, was a central concept in Hippocratic medicine. According to this theory, the human body was composed of 4 humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Health was maintained when these humors were in balance, while disease resulted from an imbalance or excess of one or more humors. Treatment often involved restoring the balance of the humors through diet, lifestyle changes, or the use of herbal remedies. Emphasis on observation and prognosis. Hippocratic physicians placed great emphasis on careful observation of the patient, noting their symptoms, lifestyle, and environment. They believed that accurate diagnosis was essential for effective treatment. They also developed a sophisticated understanding of prognosis, the ability to predict the likely course of a disease. The Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath, a code of ethical conduct for physicians, is one of the most enduring legacies of Hippocratic medicine. The oath emphasizes the physician's duty to act in the best interests of the patient, to maintain confidentiality, and to avoid causing harm. Anatomy and physiology. Greek physicians made some progress in understanding anatomy and physiology, although their knowledge was limited by the prohibition of human dissection in most periods. They studied animal anatomy and made inferences about human anatomy based on these observations. Alcmaeon of Croton, for example, is credited with performing dissections on animals and identifying the brain as the center of thought and sensation. The Alexandrian School. During the Hellenistic period, Alexandria became a center of medical learning and research. Herophilus and Erasistratus, two physicians working in Alexandria, are credited with performing the first systematic human dissections. They made important discoveries about the anatomy of the brain, the heart, and the circulatory system. Influence of philosophy. Greek philosophical ideas also influenced medical thought. The philosopher Empedocles, for example, proposed that the universe was composed of four elements: earth, air, fire, and water, which corresponded to the four humors in the human body. Limitations. Ancient Greek medicine had its limitations. Greek physicians lacked the sophisticated scientific instruments and knowledge of modern medicine. Their understanding of anatomy and physiology was incomplete. Their treatments were often based on trial and error rather than scientific evidence. Legacy. Despite its limitations, ancient Greek medicine laid the foundation for Western medical thought. The Hippocratic emphasis on observation, rational explanation, and ethical conduct continues to influence medical practitioners today. The Greek humoral theory, while ultimately proven incorrect, shaped medical practice for centuries. The Greek legacy in medicine is a testament to the power of human observation and the pursuit of knowledge. The emphasis on natural causes rather than supernatural ones was a huge step forward. Fact 33. Ancient Greek athletics beyond the Olympics, local and Panhellenic Games. While the Olympic Games held at Olympia every 4 years represent the pinnacle of ancient Greek athletics, it's crucial to recognize that athletic competition was a deeply ingrained aspect of life throughout the Greek world, extending far beyond this prestigious festival. Numerous local and other Panhellenic Games, all Greek games, but less prestigious than the Olympics, offered opportunities for athletes to compete, gain recognition, and contribute to the prestige of their city-states. These events fostered a culture of physical excellence and competition, contributing to the overall dynamism of ancient Greek society. Local games. Numerous local athletic festivals were held in cities and towns throughout Greece. These games often featured a variety of events, including running, jumping, wrestling, boxing, pankration, a brutal combination of boxing and wrestling, discus throwing, javelin throwing, and chariot racing. They served as important social and religious occasions, bringing communities together to celebrate their local traditions and honor their gods. Winning athletes were often rewarded with prizes such as olive oil, crowns, or cash. The prominence of local games meant that athletic training was not just for Olympic hopefuls, but a broader part of civic life. Panhellenic Games, besides the Olympics in addition to the Olympic Games, there were 3 other major Panhellenic Games that attracted athletes and spectators from all over the Greek world. The Pythian Games at Delphi, held every 4 years at Delphi in honor of Apollo. The Pythian Games featured athletic, musical, and dramatic competitions. The athletic events were similar to those at the Olympic Games, but the Pythian Games also included events such as chariot racing, flute playing, and theatrical performances. Victory at the Pythian Games was highly prestigious, second only to victory at the Olympic Games. The Isthmian Games at Corinth, held every 2 years at Corinth in honor of Poseidon. The Isthmian Games featured athletic and musical competitions. The athletic events were similar to those at the Olympic Games, but the Isthmian Games also included equestrian events such as chariot racing and horse racing. The Nemean Games at Nemea, held every 2 years at Nemea in honor of Zeus. The Nemean Games featured athletic competitions. The athletic events were similar to those at the Olympic Games. These 4 games, Olympics, Pythian, Isthmian, and Nemean, formed a cycle, with each game occurring in a specific year, creating a continuous series of athletic festivals that spanned the Greek world. Winning athletes often traveled from game to game, seeking to achieve victory in all 4. Athletes who achieved victory in all 4 games were known as periodonics, and they were highly celebrated throughout Greece. Training and preparation. Athletes who competed in the Panhellenic Games underwent rigorous training and preparation. They typically trained under the guidance of experienced coaches and followed strict diets and exercise regimens. They also sought the advice of physicians and trainers to optimize their physical condition. Training took place at gymnasia, dedicated facilities that provided space for exercise, instruction, and socialization. Gymnasia were important centers of Greek culture, promoting physical fitness, intellectual development, and civic engagement. Prizes and recognition. Winning athletes at the Panhellenic Games received valuable prizes and recognition. They were typically awarded olive wreaths or crowns, which were symbols of victory and honor. They were also often given cash prizes, statues, and other gifts. Their achievements were celebrated in poems and songs, and their names were recorded for posterity. Victory at the Panhellenic Games brought prestige not only to the athlete but also to their city-state. Social and cultural significance. Athletic competitions played an important role in ancient Greek society. They promoted physical fitness, discipline, and competition. They fostered a sense of civic pride and patriotism. They provided opportunities for social interaction and cultural exchange. They served as a reminder of the Greek ideals of arete, excellence, and the pursuit of human potential. The numerous local and Panhellenic Games, far beyond just the Olympics, helped to foster a uniquely athletic culture throughout ancient Greece, influencing everything from education to warfare. Fact 34. Ancient Greek concepts of love, eros, philia, agape, and xenia. The ancient Greeks explored the concept of love with remarkable depth and nuance, distinguishing between different types of love and valuing each for its unique qualities and contributions to human life and society. Their understanding of love, encompassing eros, philia, agape, and xenia, provides valuable insights into their ethical and social values. These concepts, though ancient, continue to resonate in contemporary discussions of human relationships. Eros, passionate love. Eros, named after the Greek god of love and desire, refers to passionate, romantic love. It is characterized by intense longing, desire, and physical attraction. Eros is often associated with beauty, pleasure, and the pursuit of fulfillment. While Eros can be a powerful and exhilarating force, the Greeks also recognized its potential for irrationality and destructiveness if not tempered by reason and moderation. They understood that unchecked Eros could lead to obsession, jealousy, and even tragedy. The Greeks often depicted Eros as a mischievous and unpredictable force, highlighting the challenges of navigating passionate love. Philia, affectionate friendship. Philia, often translated as brotherly love or affectionate friendship, encompasses a broader range of relationships than Eros. It refers to the love and affection that exists between friends, family members, and comrades. Philia is characterized by loyalty, trust, mutual respect, and shared values. It is based on a deep connection and a sense of shared identity. Philia was considered a vital component of a well-functioning society, promoting cooperation, solidarity, and civic virtue. Unlike Eros, Philia was seen as more stable and enduring, based on shared experiences and mutual support. Agape, unconditional love. Agape, often translated as unconditional love or selfless love, is the highest form of love in the Greek tradition. It refers to a selfless and compassionate love that is directed towards all human beings, regardless of their merits or worth. Agape is characterized by empathy, compassion, and a willingness to sacrifice oneself for the well-being of others. It is often associated with religious or spiritual ideals. Agape is seen as a transformative force, capable of healing divisions and promoting peace and understanding. While difficult to achieve perfectly, agape served as an ethical ideal, encouraging individuals to transcend their own self-interest and embrace a broader sense of humanity. Xenia, guest-host relationship. While not strictly a type of love in the same vein as Eros, Philia, or agape, xenia, the ancient Greek concept of hospitality and the sacred bond between guest and host, represents a crucial form of social obligation and reciprocal care that underpinned much of Greek society. Xenia dictated that hosts were obligated to provide food, shelter, and protection to guests, regardless of their identity or origin. Guests, in turn, were obligated to respect their hosts and to avoid causing them any harm. Xenia was considered a sacred duty, protected by Zeus Xenios, the god of hospitality. The violation of Xenia was seen as a grave offense, punishable by divine retribution. Xenia played a vital role in promoting communication, trade, and cultural exchange throughout the Greek world. Interrelation and importance. The ancient Greeks did not see these types of love as mutually exclusive, but rather as complementary aspects of a fulfilling human life. A healthy balance of eros, philia, and agape, along with adherence to the principles of Xenia, was considered essential for individual well-being and social harmony. Their nuanced understanding of love continues to provide valuable insights into the complexities of human relationships and the ethical values that underpin a flourishing society. The Greeks recognized that love, in its various forms, was a powerful force that could shape individuals, communities, and the course of history. Act 35. Ancient Greek Comedy. Origins, structure, and key playwrights. Ancient Greek comedy, a vibrant and influential dramatic form, served not only as entertainment but also as a powerful platform for social and political commentary. Rooted in fertility rituals and improvisational performances, Greek comedy evolved into a sophisticated art form that satirized contemporary figures, challenged societal norms, and explored the absurdity of human behavior. Understanding the origins, structure, and key playwrights of Greek comedy is essential for appreciating its enduring legacy and its impact on Western dramatic tradition. Origins and development. The origins of Greek comedy are less clear than those of tragedy. It is believed to have evolved from fertility rituals and phallic processions honoring Dionysus, the god of wine and theater. These rituals often involved improvisational performances, satirical songs, and body humor. Over time, these performances evolved into more structured dramatic forms, with the addition of actors, choruses, and scripted dialogue. Structure of Greek comedy. Greek comedies typically followed a distinct structural pattern, consisting of a prologue, parados, agon, parabasis, and exodus. Prologue. The prologue sets the scene and introduces the main characters and the central comedic idea or premise of the play. Parados. The parados is the entrance of the chorus, who often represent a group of citizens or other figures relevant to the play's theme. The chorus sings and dances as they enter the orchestra, providing commentary on the action and expressing their opinions. Agon. The agon is a debate or contest between two opposing characters or viewpoints. The agon typically involves witty exchanges, satirical arguments, and humorous insults. Parabasis. The parabasis is a unique feature of old comedy, in which the chorus steps out of character and addresses the audience directly. The chorus leader speaks on behalf of the playwright, expressing his views on political, social, or artistic issues. Exodus. The Exodus is the final scene of the play, in which the conflict is resolved and the characters celebrate a victory or reconciliation. The Exodus often involves music, dancing, and feasting. Key features of Greek comedy. Satire. Greek comedies were often highly satirical, lampooning contemporary figures, political institutions, and social customs. Playwrights used humor and wit to expose the flaws and absurdities of their society. Body humor. Greek comedies often employed body humor, including jokes about sex, bodily functions, and scatological matters. This type of humor was intended to provoke laughter and to challenge social conventions. Fantasy and exaggeration. Greek comedies often featured fantastical elements and exaggerated characters and situations. Playwrights used these techniques to create a sense of absurdity and to comment on the excesses of their society. Political commentary. Greek comedies frequently addressed political issues, criticizing politicians, policies, and social injustices. Playwrights used humor to express their opinions and to influence public opinion. Key playwrights. The most famous comic playwright of ancient Greece was Aristophanes, 446 to 386 BC. Aristophanes' plays, such as Lysistrata, The Clouds, The Birds, and Frogs, are known for their satirical wit, their political commentary, and their body humor. Evolution of comedy. Old comedy versus new comedy. Greek comedy evolved over time. Old comedy, which flourished in the 5th century BC, was characterized by its satirical wit, political commentary, and fantastic elements. New comedy, which emerged in the 4th century BC, focused on more domestic and personal themes, with stock characters, romantic plots, and less overt political satire. Menander was the most famous playwright of new comedy. Legacy. Ancient Greek comedy has had a profound and lasting influence on Western drama. The satirical wit, the stock characters, and the comedic techniques of Greek comedy have been adopted and adapted by playwrights for centuries. The plays of Aristophanes continue to be performed and studied today, serving as a testament to the enduring power of Greek comedy. The tradition of using humor to critique society continues to this day, partly thanks to the Greek example.